Okay, I'm also on YouTube to avoid certain things that Twitch does. Here we go. Try and find a Zelda.
Hazel.
Hazel.
I hope you guys can hear a dog.
Get a dog?
Dog. I've got the dog.
Yeah, you got the dog.
I got
The dog and me.
doggy.
Okay, here is. Okay. Yeah. We could either just hop right into it whenever you are ready, Night Honeybee, or we could have a second there. Oh, let me go and push
I mean,
start.
I don't. All right.
Hi Max, thank you for checking in.
Let me
Jakey's gonna
pull up
get you
chapter.
your favorite
And
evening
okay.
dinky.
Already?
Yeah.
All right. Chapter 4, A Griffin's Hope. All right. Eleonora slowly stepped down the stairs with Mael's help. The weight of her pregnancy and everything from that year fell heavily on her mind. 1 year, one long year since the Zontac incident. In that year, she learned much about Romulus, Remus, and some of the Empire's core worlds, or at least enough to fully understand what Toran meant by hellish, a mining world. If the crew sent there weren't dead, they were miserable. Some of the other core worlds were similar, not all, but it was enough for the feelings of guilt and shame to entangle Eleonora near suffocatingly tight. There was not a thing she could do. She knew that well, but she still had luxury in comparison. Not even in comparison, the Duvek were upper class in Romulan society. She had not even seen those who lived on Romulus. However, she never left far from the part of Reteg the manor resided near for her own safety. The times she did was with Turan to the Senate, and she either had to stick close or in his office. On top of it all, she was pregnant, 6 months in. It was a moment of desperation between herself and Pengare, a need for touch, a need for any kind of comfort, both slightly buzzed from wine. The compatibility between humans and Vulcans was questionable, Romulans no different. It was a shock, a very wary shock. Turan had immediately ordered the clan doctor to run genetic tests for any potential problems. There were issues. Eleonora found herself and the child regularly monitored. Already, a possibly deadly mutation had to be corrected, along with injections that kept her immune system down. It was a very tiring pregnancy. Here we are. Mael pulled out a seat for her. Same breakfast or different today? Thank you. Same please, but with a bit of fruit, if you don't mind. Of course. Mael grinned and joined his sister in the kitchen. Eleanor sighed, bringing a hand to her belly. Her daughter kicked, making her wince but smile. Even in this stage, Romulans were stronger than humans. Pengare had been called back to service not long after finding out. They sent messages suggesting names back and forth. As expected, human names were advised against, though Pengare liked some of them. Turan recommended keeping any human names as very special nicknames only heard between certain family and no others. Eleonora felt it fair, as much as it pained her. Eha, Irailo, and Vivienne.
You need help.
I'm sorry.
Again, let's see. Eha, Eho, and
Fiven. Okay.
I don't know. Like I'm just
we're figuring this out together. That's all that matters. Dignity, admirable, and force. She thought over what they had narrowed down. What about Rahea or Arayan? I'm sure Torin would love the first one. Torin did chip in his own opinions, but mostly left the decisions to them. Kara's sister, Ariki, also pitched in. She had helped Eleonora a lot. Eleonora met a few other members of the family, both the Duvek and Saharian sides. At least those were not busy with service, but they were made aware of her and Pengare's union. It was a nervous prospect. Many already voiced their opinions, either neutral or opposing, much like the rest of Romulan society's reaction. Running a hand over her belly again, I hope you have an easier time of this place. Turan groaned, rubbing his temples. These reports, messages, and schedules, such absurdity. The Senate changed its scheduled meetings often and rapidly to throw off potential assassins often, sure, but the habit never failed to give him a headache. The increasingly irritating messages from another senator added to what was already a particularly unpleasant day. Stupid questions about why they couldn't just allocate resources here or there that could so easily be answered with the slightest bit of awareness and research. It threatened to drive him mad. Of course, the fact he barely wanted to be there. Unfortunately, between this one senator's blatant, willfully ignorant stupidity and another incident involving baffling miscommunication between another two and their assistants, and yet another issue with a core world elsewhere, he had little choice but to come in early. The lingering mess with the Zontac as well, though, given it was found the Orion Syndicate was involved, it was now mostly the Tal Shihar's mess. There was his typical paperwork to deal with, the provinces he owned, his military forces, the house clans under the Duvaks, and so on. Usual day-to-day things, familiar things. Alas, that week decided to be utterly bizarre. His assistant was visibly tired from this nonsense as well. Turan peeked at the clock. It had been a good 4 hours since they started. He did not get much time for breakfast, and doubted his assistant did either. A small break was well deserved, in his mind. Come, we can deal better with this mess after we have eaten. Clear relief wash over their face. Agreed, Senator. As they both walked, they eyed him curiously. If I may, how is the human? Lyre? Physically she is well, but her mood is dreary, with life as a changing in the wind and water. I regret I cannot offer to ease the heavy clouds this day. In other words, he wished to offer more support, but that day saw him leaving before she awoke. He admired her fire, though he could see it was dimmed. Regardless, such a flame allowed her to survive, a temperament which added a much-needed mix to the house. Turan quite enjoyed her snappy wit. His brother chose well, grave as the circumstances were. The child was also of concern. A half-Romulan would not see an easy time in Romulan society. Better than her mother, perhaps, but harsh nonetheless. Many would expect failure. It was not long after dealing with the more headache-inducing reports, which took far longer than he'd liked, Turan found himself faced with a peculiar sight. A young albino Denobulan woman being berated by an older and seemingly drunk Romulan. Something about the woman seemed familiar. To call Denobulans a rarity was an understatement. She was clearly frightened by the shouting directed at her. Turan, quite frankly, found the noise irritating, and the man's behavior quite uncivilized. Annoyance and curiosity in tow, he moved toward the pair. Can you not follow simple instructions? Have you even been trying to learn Rihan? Useless, ungrateful. Turan slammed his staff on the ground. The loud snaps enough to startle the man, who whirled around angrily, only to pale upon being faced with the senator. The scent of alcohol accosted Turan's nostrils, and he let his sneer show. Such uncivilized behavior to be displaying in the Senate. What is the meaning of this? Apologies, Senator. Didn't mean to cause a disturbance. Turan remained unimpressed. Just trying to tell off this ungrateful outsider. She gets to live here, I give her a job, and even books to study Rihan, and she can still barely keep up with our language. She shrunk further. Somehow Turan doubted she was given enough to learn from. Books themselves could only go so far. Depending on how much she interacted with other Romulans, also a point. Chances were this man didn't let her speak to others much, though Turan was curious. She is Denobulan, not a common sight here. However, something strikes familiar. Based on your words, was she from the Federation ship? That is right, Senator. One of the lucky allowed on Shirian. I found her wandering the streets in Ki Baratan, looking for work, but worse, at our tongue. I generously offered her work. Doing what exactly? Simple errand trips and tool cleaning. She apparently used to be an engineer. A scoff. Like I'd trust her around Romulan tech. Glancing at the woman, Turan questioned if she was close to Eleonora. He knew the human to had been the chief engineer, even showed curiosity toward Romulan technology and its workings. No doubt Eleonora wished to dirty her hands again. Likely this one did too. More repair hands around the manor would certainly be welcomed. Eyeing the woman, Turan considered Eleonora's relief to see one of her old crewmates, how it might help her growing depression. Turning fully to the woman, "You, Denobulin, what is your name?" She made to speak, but the man interrupted. "What? She's Denny Dinal or something?" His mouth snapped shut at the glare Turan gave him. "I was not speaking to you." "Apologies, Senator. I merely... Did I ask for excuses? Be silent. Now you speak." Swallowing, beyond intimidated, she spoke. "My name is Denal, Senator. Is what this drunkard claims true? Were you from the UFP ship and once an engineer?" "Yes, both are true, Senator." "Including how he found you and what he offered?" "Yes." "Your Rihan seems fine to my ears. Perhaps some needed sharpening on pronunciation. What exactly was he yelling about?" "I forgot the word for a cleaning fluid and confused it with something else, then messed up pronouns in panic. My pronunciation is also not good, as you observed, Senator." Turan raised an eyebrow. "Is that all? Those slips happened with Romulans. I do not see the point of his yelling." Denal's eyes brightened in pleasant, though wary, surprise. The man sputtered. Senator, with all due respect, did I ask you to speak? I thought I demanded silence of you, or is basic respect too hard for you?" Turan cut in, cold and irritated. I should have you thrown out with how you have presented yourself, drunk in the Senate, causing a disturbance, speaking out of line, disgraceful." It was the man's turn to look frightened. Turan could do far worse than simply throw him out, he knew well. "You clearly are not competent enough to teach an outsider the glory of Chirion. I have seen outsiders get further along in a year with the correct guidance. I question if you are capable of teaching our own with such behavior," Turan sneered. Granted, he normally did not care for the affairs of outsiders when it did not concern him. This, he decided, did, if only for Eleonora's sake. "As a senator, I am taking custody of this outsider. And I've had enough of your disgrace. Leave my sight before I make you." The man stepped back, then again, eyes wide. Hastily, he bowed and retreated. Turan scoffed. Pathetic. What that man was doing here, he didn't know or care. Instead, he snapped his fingers, making Denal flinch to attention. "You work for me and House Clan Duvek now. Come, we are leaving." With a softer tone, he said, "I am sure you will find relief in my house, but I will not tolerate disobedience or blatant disrespect to me and my family. Understood?" Denal nodded, a guarded ease in her eyes. "Yes, Senator." "Good. Now let us leave." A gentle breeze brushed past red hair. Eleonora inhaled it, savoring it. The evening was cool, but not intolerably so. Calm, with only a few clouds. Wasteful to let such a day pass indoors. Besides, the manor's air tended to stale quickly, the weight of its history not helping. Its yard, almost a garden, was always kept as nice as the inside. Eleanor quite enjoyed resting on the patio. An emptied teacup sat beside her, the lingering smell adding to the calmness of the moment, only occasionally broken by kicking or a servant checking in. The sky of Romulus was slightly greener than on Earth, even in the setting sun. One of the strange butterfly creatures zipped past her, quicker than she could keep up with. The door to the patio slid open. She glanced over, expecting one of the servants, and found Turan standing in the doorway. "Welcome back. Should hope the Senate wasn't too much of a headache for you." A beat of silence. Turan regarding her with a look she was never quite able to read. Was it fondness or something else? Finally, he spoke, the look dropping with a scoff. "If only fate had been so kind. I need not weigh you down with the dreadful details of stupidity these last few days have been. Not on an evening as lovely as this." As if for emphasis, he waved his staff and gestured to the sky. Eleanor smiled at the display. How very Turan it was. "But I did happen upon something, or rather someone, that may please you to see." Before she could inquire about this someone, he stepped aside. Denal, rather hesitantly, entered the patio and froze, seeing her former commander. Commander McCoy? Denal! Eleanor breathed, shakily standing up. Relief flushed through her, a relief not felt in a long time. Denal! Oh, thank the gods you're still alive! Denal rushed over to meet Eleanor in an embrace. Commander, it's been so long. I never thought I'd see you again, and I was so worried, and huffing a laugh, amused seeing old behaviors hadn't changed. I can say the same about you, and I ain't a commander anymore. Kinda lost that title after she trailed off and then shook her head. I'm glad to see you safe. Where have you been this whole time? How did... Glancing between Denal and Torin, the question was clear. I found this one with some drunken fool. Apparently they employed by him. Turan rolled his eyes. Barely a person adequate to work with a Romulan, much less show an outsider the glory of our ways, could not have such disgrace, so I took her in. Plus, she claims to have been an engineer, so I assumed she'd work best with you. It was said in a dismissive manner, Turan inspecting his claws all the while. Eleanor raised a brow, knowing well it was a facade. She was one of my subordinates, yes. A damn impressive one at that. She grinned at Denal, who flushed. Whatever your reasons, thank you, truly, for bringing her here. A very faint smile graced Turan's lips, and he nodded. Of course. As she was one of yours, I expect her to do repair work and maintenance for the Manor's systems. Namak will help guide her in what she needs to know. Eleanor smiled and patted Denal on the shoulder. I think that'll work well for her just fine, ain't that right? A dazed, slow nod was her first response, as if Denal could not quite believe this was happening. Not only getting to be around her old superior, but also doing engineer work. Yes, thank you, Senator. I will not disappoint you. I count that as a promise. And this is Ru Fer Toran to you here. While serious, the tone was light. He turned around. I will leave you both to your reunion, and left. Rufer Toran, yes, of course, Denal said, still dazed and still rather intimidated by Toran. Eleanor chuckled and spoke in standard. Don't mind him. He seems cold at first, but he cares in his own way. Her smile lessened. So, found you employed by someone else? Someone not very pleasant, I take it. She snapped out of her daze. Yeah, unpleasant is an understatement. Constantly yelled at me for the slightest thing, wasn't above hitting me. She rubbed her arm. Eleanor frowned and squeezed her shoulder. I'm sorry you had to go through that, Denal. A pang of guilt, a reminder of the deal which brought that fate. But you don't have to worry about that here. Turan can be hard, sometimes snappish, but I've never seen him abuse the servants here. Trust me when I say you'll like it here. Denal was silent, looking over Eleonora, the yard, the manor, and nodded. Do you know what happened to everyone else? Yvel and Sneer. I heard they were executed. They and quite a few others were. There wasn't anything Turan, Pangare, or I could do about that. I only have vague knowledge that those who lived are either here or on some other key world like Remus. I doubt they've had it easy. The pain of that knowledge and the pain now gripping her legs made her sit down. She felt another kick and rested a hand on her belly. I take it you know as much as I do? I only briefly saw some of the crew when we were dismissed from processing. Shariv and I stuck together for a while, but he suddenly vanished. Denal swallowed, fearing what happened to her colleague. I haven't seen him since. Alarm rang in Eleanor's mind. Suddenly vanishing on Romulus was never a good sign. Warnings of the Tal Shihar still clear in your ears. I hope he's safe, wherever he is, Denal muttered. Eleanor wanted to say something, whether of likely truths or false hopes, she wasn't sure. Nevertheless, Denal continued. I don't know how the others are. You're the first I've seen in a while. Has the commander treated you well, at least? She eyed the bump and emptied teacup. Throat drier with misplaced shame, Eleanor wished she still had tea to drink. Little could be done, especially with the Tal Shihar involved. She knew this, had since she got there. If only her mind would catch up with the facts. Yes, she finally said. Pangare has been kind, far softer than you'd expect of a Romulan commander. A weak chuckle was offered, though genuine. While there were lingering sore feelings, she had warmed to Pangare a lot over that year. Part of her wished he was here. Got called back into service, though, so it'll be a while before you can meet him, if you were wanting to. Denal gave a small smile. I'm glad you're well, at least. When are you expecting? If all goes well, 3 more months. Though the family doctor says risk of prematurity is high, there have been a lot of complications. Romulans and humans apparently don't mix well genetically. Been needing a lot of monitoring this one. The worry was plain in her voice. So far, most major concerns had been corrected, and the child was kicking as strong as ever. But anything could happen. Eleonora silently prayed all would go well. She couldn't take another major loss. Her daughter kicked, as if to remind her mother she was still there and healthy. She is quite the active one, though. Eleanor chuckled, pushing her worries aside. Denal held out a hand. May I? At the confirming nod, she stepped forward and placed her hand on Eleanor's stomach. Her hand was guided to where the child normally kicked, and after a few seconds, a kick was felt. Denal's eyes widened, and she grinned. Does she have a name yet? Not yet. Got a few narrowed down. Sent some recent ideas to Pan I think he'll like. I've heard Romulans are a bit complicated with names. Is that true? Eleanor huffed a laugh. Very. We're working on giving her a given name first, then her false name for strangers. Even I have a false name, Lyre. Claim it's for safety, which I don't doubt, given how paranoid people can be here. Romulan naming conventions usually consisted of 3 to 4 names. The usual 3, public, given, and true. Then the Nahi, or false name. False names tended to change rapidly compared to the other 3, which made sense as Nahi were meant to hide one's identity. Lyre was not the first Nahi Eleanor had gotten. True names were special, a reflection of how a Romulan saw themselves in truth. Those were only given to those they gave their heart to. Eleonora knew Pangari's true name. He spoke it to her a few months back before he left. Rahea and Arian. Whichever doesn't become your given can be your false. I've noticed I never got a false name. I'm still plain old Denal. She chuckled. It was awkward, but easier. Am I allowed to hear the names you picked out? I don't mind it, but I do want Pangari's agreement first. I understand. Why don't you sit down? We still have some daylight to chat. I can bring you up to speed about this here house. I'd love that, sir. It was not but a month from that day. Denal had settled into routine with only a few hiccups. Her rehunt greatly improved, and she had proved very skillful in Romulan tech once she was shown the ropes. Namek was an excellent teacher and soon friend. The only unfortunate thing was Pangare, while understanding, was not keen on sharing given names, nor was Toran for that matter. Rahaya was chosen as the given name, and Pangare agreed with using Arian as a Nahi until Rahaya was old enough to choose her public name. Talking about their daughter, Pangari always looked a mix of giddy and nervous, feelings Eleonora knew the reasons for sharing in them. Quite a bit of the family did, and, thankfully, none had to keep worrying about any more complications for long. Eleonora and Ariki were pleasantly chatting over tea and Romulan books. They did so often. Normally they were interrupted by Taran, a servant, or someone calling Ariki for an important business. That time, however, they were interrupted by Eleonora's water breaking. Ariki was quick to respond, summoning servants to get Eleonora to her and Pangari's bedroom, ordering others to call Taran and the clan's doctor. It would be several excruciating hours of labor, nearly a day. Pangari and Taethun were informed in the meantime. Eleonora held Rahea close, small hands wrapped in mitts as to prevent the child from calling herself, grasped tightly at her mother's nightgown. Rahea purred lightly in her sleep. For most of the world she appeared Romulan, pointed ears, a ridged forehead, retractable claws she had yet to master, and, while not yet the most prominent, slanted eyebrows. Her blood was green as well. The only thing unusual, according to the doctor, was the begins of red hair inherited from Eleonora, something exceedingly rare on Romulans. It would no doubt mark her as half-human, something Taran feared. She was in for a hard life. Eleonora had hoped she would make it. Taran planned to ensure she would. At some point, Eleonora fell asleep and Taran took Rahea to be branded as the rest of the family had before her. Rahea whimpered, no longer smelling her mother. Her uncle adjusted his hold to soothe her. You will be returned shortly, child, but You must go through this first, as all Romulans do. He knew she couldn't understand him, mostly muttering to himself. I share your mother's hope. If you are anything like her, you will survive. Chirion is harsh, especially to those different. And you, not only are you different, you will be expected to fall short of your peers while also having the expectations of heir of house. Turan sighed. What a cruel fate. But the house needed an heir, and he and Tahathan were unlikely to have children. He was going to need to be hard on Rahea, harder than he would normally. He would ensure she survived, whatever it took.
Done.
Whatever
nice.
it took.
Hell yeah.
Oh, I like
That
the
was
I like
awesome.
the meaning of the name too.
Yeah.
Written there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that. I found some.
Good job reading
I
the whole
found some
chapter
typos
too.
in the chapter, but I didn't want to tell you that.
What?
Said like,
Please screenshot typos and send them to me.
okay, if I see it again, I think it was just like one grammar mistake, and you also spelled a word wrong. But other than that, it was fine.
I loved when I heard Hazel. She was like, "Rrr."
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
I
I was like, no, this is like the emotional part. She just gave birth. Get out of here! And then I also have like an open glass. I have an open glass in the corner of my desk too, and she was trying to get into it, and I was like just holding her up while I was reading, and I was like, please do not do anything right now. I don't want this to knock over. Oh man.
Cat like me? Cat like me now? Meow.
Exactly.
I love cats.
Oh, they're so silly.
And I forgot how emotional this chapter was.
Yeah, I'm
I'm
really invested in
emotional.
his family and their daughter now.
And like I always keep thinking that chapter 4 and 5 fall short of 3, and it's like, no, chapter 4 holds up fine.
It does. It does.
Yeah.
I'm emotional.
As I will admit, after getting done with chapter 3, a part of me was tempted to just close it off there, and then I kind of partly got sick of working on VR.
Oh.
I'm glad you finished it though.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now, Owl, it's your turn for chapter 5.
Oh my
Yay.
goodness.
I don't know if I know how to pronounce any of the names, but I'll try.
Exactly. Have fun trying.
My trick is if I just do it really fast, then you can't tell if I'm
People
doing
notice
anything
it.
wrong. Yeah, exactly.
Alternatively, you can ask me for help.
Yeah.
Although,
Yeah, it's like
I will note that the title Torin uses, whatever, means Lord of the House, basically. So it's like
Ooh.
Lord Torin.
Oh,
I see.
cool.
Good enough.
Okay. When do you want me to start?
Whenever you like.
Okay. She's very nearly 5, and she has a sharp mind already, Jerry commented after they had put her to bed, pride clear in his words, perhaps a bit snarky for her own good. Reha and Eleonora's temperament, perhaps more so, there was no doubt there. The little Spitfire nearly got herself into trouble on multiple occasions, taking very few shits from people and always seeming to harshly judge everyone she met. It both amused and concerned them, especially Torin, especially the moment she intimidated poor Karis. Angriest child I've ever seen, Karis once said. But I'm certain that fire will aid her down the road, if properly directed. She's managed so far. I don't doubt she'll continue to. Nor do I. She's quite the mirror image of her mother, after all. Jerry cast Eleanor an adoring smile, which she returned, still as sappy as ever. How can I not be? My love for you has only grown since we met, and it forever warms me to know that fire I saw in you hasn't left. The universe has thrown many things against you, yet you perspire. I admire that. I still despair at the thought of having caused you grief, even out of kindness. If there was one thing she had come to love about Panjere, it was his way of words, genuine and full of emotion, rarely shying away from showing his care. She had warmed to him. Most of the bitter feelings from years ago faded. They were not gone, not truly. The desire to see home again still burned, yet she had come to accept what happened, accept him. You are one of the most caring men I've met. Never afraid to show it. I admire that about you. This has certainly not been an easy road, but a hard road is better than a cliff fall. Panjari chuckled. Eleonora's metaphor is not failing to amuse him, and nodded his agreement. To survival and living, yes. He held up 2 fingers, a request for a Romulan kiss. She met his, to survival and living. It was strange how something appearing mild on the surface, like the Vulcan and Romulan kiss, could be so electrifying in actuality. Warmth spread through her nerves, along the soothing feeling inherited from the Saharians, so simple yet so very powerful. The human kiss was occasionally indulged in, and Jerry found it quite exciting. However, it was usually reserved for more private moments, as that night led to, along with the query of having another child, a query agreed to. Reha was rather excited by the prospect of a sibling. Torin was stressed, though less stressed than last time. They all knew what to expect. Similar problems arose, the same blood mutation among others that needed correction, and similarly, premature birth. It was all just as tiring. Mendakaris, a name meaning vigilant strength, was born a month early. Like his sister, he would survive. As well, he appeared outwardly Romulan, pointy ears, sharp claws and fangs, ridges and slanted eyebrows. Eyes were likely to be an icy blue and hair brown like his father's. Panjari got to be there, cooing softly at his son, who seemed intent to sniff everything before burying his face in Pan's robes. Jerry constantly appeared on the verge of tears. He had been upset at missing Reha's birth, which was no fault of his own. Torin took Mendikaris to be branded once the emotions simmered down, and Eleonora passed out. Torin silently promised the same to his nephew as he did Reha. They would both survive Romulus as far as he was concerned. He would ensure it. He questioned whether 2 half Romulan children would make that easier or harder. 5 years later, Mandakaris, now known to the public as Tanahos,
Piano
followed
house.
by Tanahos, thank you, followed behind Reha, or
Reiki.
Fiveki?
Yes.
Okay, Tanos and Fiveki. The sun was setting. It was time to return to the manor. Tanahos would have preferred to stay by the stream, residing a ways behind the manor. The chill air, the rustle of leaves, the flowing of water, all a relief from the stress of life. The other Romulan kids mocked them often, especially Fiefke. Her red hair stuck out more like a sore thumb. Tanahos could at least pass as long as no one knew. It made her jealous, but she resented her hair instead of her brother, not like he could have done anything about it. Fivke at least had intimidation on her side. For the more spiritual Romulans, hair represented fire was a blessing, and thus made it easy to scare those people by acting angry. Even for the less spiritual, being of a prestigious house was nothing was nothing to scoff at. But that only shut them up. They still judged her. She could see it. Torin would not allow her to change her hair, no matter how much she hated it. The hatred stung her mother. Not like Eleonora could do anything about the unfair judgment either. You're upset again, aren't you? Tenajos broke the silence, peering at his sister in worry. What makes you say that? You don't sneer like that unless you're upset or trying to scare someone, and you're looking at your hair again. So she was. Fivke let the strand of hair drop. A habit. Any time she thought about it, she would grab it, sneer at it. Sometimes she did it merely from being irked. I'm just asking. I'm just thinking. About your hair again? Partly. It gets in the way of connections. We need connections here. You've heard what uncles Torin and Tuthin have said. The right connections, right friends, right power. It is hard to get that when everyone knows you're a half-breed. Tanahos nodded. He knew well. He refused to let their blood get in the way. We will make them. We will make names for ourselves. Being half-breeds won't stop us. They'll see. Vivke huffed a laugh. Always the eager one, you. But I guess we have to be. We're as good as any full-blooded Romulan. They have to see that soon. More certain than I am. But if they claim I'm on fire, then I'll be fire. Burn them all if I have to. Yeah, and I'll be the wind blowing the fire towards others. Not quite how that works, but sure. Tanaho simply beamed. He would prove both their worths himself if he had to. Fifke was too hard on herself, being heir of the house and all. Sure, he tended to drive her up the wall sometimes, but a snap of a twig, a low growl, something watched, stalked. A thry, no doubt. Get behind me! Fifke pulled Tanahos towards her and checked how far they still were to the manor. She saw it in the distance if they were quick. Move this way, slowly. What was a thry doing here? Just one? Such questions made her worry. One thry usually meant a pack. An odd sensation washed over her as they crept closer to the manor and continued to stalk them. She felt it clearly, its hunger, its impatience. She swore she saw it out of its many eyes. Surely not. Perhaps. No, not this. As if life was not already stressful enough. If only the universe was so merciful. The thry was going to lunge. She heard its mind, clear as day. It was only one thry, exiled from its pack, hungry for days. It no longer cared the cost. Run, now! It was hot on their heels. They both yelled for help as they got closer. Someone had to hear them. Maybe she could. She tried to reach out telepathically to Torin, but the thry's hunger and rage were suffocating. She thought she latched onto someone, but felt it slip. Tanahos, quicker on his feet, made it out of the woods first, shouting for Torin and Eleonora. Dirani Riranov Dekon Thry. Viveke stumbled, the overwhelming sensation becoming too much. Thry right behind her, going to strike. Renam! Fear came to his head. Something inside her took hold. Instincts? She was facing the Thry, telepathically screaming into its mind. All her fear, all her pain directed into its psyche. Concentrated, raw, all of it. The predator halted, falling to the ground with a yelp, its hunger forgotten as waves of pain and fear gripped its insides. Fear of being hurt, of loved ones being hurt. Pain from years of stress, of the strain of telepathy, of the image of teeth and claws shredding flesh. Prey that seemed so easy and weak now appeared as a threat. Viveke tried to focus on that, to intensify it, make the thry believe that its tail between its legs. Ugh. The disruptor blast cut through the air, atomizing the thry on the spot. Viveke fell backward, startled. Her heart pounded, so did her head. But the pain was far from her mind. Torn stood wide-eyed, disruptor now lowered. He had witnessed what she did. He wanted to believe it less than she. Tanahos peeked from behind Torin's robes, confused but relieved. Veke had psychic abilities, powerful ones. If the Tal Shiar found out, she would be taken away. You both, inside, now. Shaking, she stood. Tanahos came over to steady her. Are you okay? It didn't hurt you, did it? No, she forced out. No, I'm okay, but did you? Children, inside, we will discuss this in my office, Torrin said, in a tone they knew well. Right, yes, uncle. Yes, uncle. As if life was not already difficult. Now there was something to hide. How much more chaotic was life to become? Right then.
Nice.
Complete. That was awesome. Oh my gosh. Good time.
Yeah.
First reading.
And now y'all don't have to read Romulan anymore.
It was an interesting challenge.
Yes.
Very fun. Oh gosh.
5 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
I could talk for several minutes on director commentary, but we don't have time for that. Unless y'all would rather hear me talk about that so your voices can rest. I don't know.
We still got the three of us. Luck's willing, of course.
Yeah, that's what I'm here for.
What do we have after this?
Well, I actually have Archer's snippet from their Bloodborne fic that I can post here because I
Bloodborne.
Oh
got
yeah.
permission because they sent it. Here, I'll post the whole thing. How's that? And
Hot dang.
I'm gonna
Oh.
at Arch.
Ah.
I'm gonna be like,
Oh.
okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
So it's pretty short. It's really short. I can read it, but then I can also read something else next. Okay. So if we're all ready. Oh, what's up, Lex?
Wait. I'm just trying to figure out how I could like. Oh, I know what to do. Okay.
Open a
there's
Google Doc
challenge.
and just copy and paste it.
Yeah. We have permission.
Wait.
We're good.
Give me a sec.
Yeah.
Give us some of that commentary, Zach.
Go, Tech. Go, Tech. Go.
Yeah.
Do y'all have any questions about what was going on?
I think that it like because I don't know anything about Star Trek, but I feel like I feel like it's sort of like answered enough. While like even though like I didn't know specific things, I don't necessarily have like questions about like anything.
I just want to know if there's like a part 2 because that ended on a cliffhanger.
Yeah, I would like to know about the psychic powers and what those mean for her.
So first
Yeah.
off, a few things. Like a lot of what I have in this series as a whole for the Romulans is a lot of it is apocryphal or beta canon or fanon because not a lot is known about the Romulans in canon. Like they're not that fleshed out. So that's why I had those explanations there in the first place because it's like not everyone's into apocryphal, not everyone knows about the apocryphal, not everyone's as into Romulans as I am. So I had to have those explanations there. So I was using certain beta canon stuff. The psychic powers. What do you want to know?
Like, so she turned the animal
Is it like
into
a rare mutation?
made it like explode.
No, Vikey didn't make that explode. Make the Thry explode. Oren shot it with a disruptor. And the
Oh
thing with
god.
and the thing with disruptors is that it disrupts things on an atomic level, so it atomized it.
Wait, was she experiencing like a Game of Thrones like crow situation where she was like seeing through the animal?
For a bit, yeah.
Oh, cool.
So, I guess so. The thing with Romulans is one, they're a cousin species of the Vulcans. Vulcans are known for having some sort of psychic powers. Not to that extent, mind you. The rampant telepathy is definitely a rare mutation. And the thing is that the specific apocryphal canon that I was using for this is that if the Tal Shiar, which is the Romulan secret police, and that's just as terrifying as you think it is, perhaps more so than what you're thinking, which is also why Shariv disappearing and that being linked to the Tal Shiar is bad news too because of how Vulcans are treated, but we're not getting into all that because that is some dark territory. Um,
Oh.
it's like if you know, you know. But yeah, anyways, so if Vayaki gets found out for not only having some psychic ability, but that level of rampant telepathy, what the Tal Shiar would do is that they'd come in, take her away, and then have her raised by the Tal Shiar, and basically she'd likely never see the rest of her family again. Her family would never see her again. Chances are she might even forget them because the Tal Shiar are brutal and terrifying, as you'd expect secret police to be.
Yeah.
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 But as to answer your question about whether or not there's going to be a part 2, this is part of a series, and
Ooh.
it's one of my biggest ambitious projects. thank you, tongue. Thank you. Projects. Now,
No.
there are other works. Most of them are one shots that I made. There is a multi-chapter thing in there too. It's Al Irit Harufino, and but it's after Tiana host defects from the Empire, so that's years later. But yes,
Oh,
I can share that link.
awesome.
Give me 1 second. Where is the link to that? There it is. This is the whole series.
Ooh.
Ah,
Oh, I
oh,
was just making
cool.
jokes
Oh,
because
wow.
Stag made Tiana in Dark Souls, so I just kept cracking the Dark Souls jokes, because of course he would.
I actually really wanted to put the Hydra Slayer reference in one of the chapters of it, but I didn't get to because I forgot.
Are there Hydras in Star Trek?
I mean, I guess there could be alien Hydra, but there weren't any that I know of, at least not from the show. And I don't think Romulus have Hydra unless it's like the microscopic ones.
Space Hydras would be really cool.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh, those are scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I already find the ones on like what was it, Ash Lake scary in Dark Souls.
Oh, yeah. Hated.
Oh yeah, the
Paladin
Hydra in
ladies.
the lake. Yeah. That one is crazy.
I
Mhm.
cheesed that one.
I wish I wish I could kill it. I haven't tried yet. It looks like it's too
Oh.
far away for me to like hit it with a sword.
It comes closer if you like pester it enough.
how did you cheese it?
Yeah. You try to like lead it onto the land, and then like when it gets onto the land too much, I think it just kind of like starts slowly killing itself.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Actually,
Oh.
one time it jumped for me, and I think it
What?
hit the void, and it died. Like
Oh my
I got it on recording. Wait, I'll find it later, but remind me because I got that on recording when I was
I
doing my
need to see
weapons
that.
run
It's like
challenge,
cheating the
and oh my
TARDIS to make
gosh,
it go off the
it's
ledge.
great. Yeah,
That's so funny.
when you see Willy the Hydra and it goes beyond to the great
Yeah.
beyond.
Also, one other fun fact I have about Fihar when I was
Yeah.
planning it out. Like, obviously, I planned for there to be a bit more for chapter 4 and 5, like meeting the family and some other details here and there, but again, I kind of got sick of writing it.
Uh-huh.
And just decided to focus on what was most important for that is that funny idea I had is for Torin to have a slight secret crush on Eleonora.
Ooh, drama.
Ooh.
Well, he definitely
Okay,
cares
but
about
come on.
her.
Yes.
Hard
That's
not to,
cool.
because they're like spending way more time together too.
Yeah.
That was also the logic too. Like, here's because you got Pangiera. The marriage is
Oh, that's
political,
how you
and
say
she
it.
does. I have no idea how you actually say.
I was really worried that
Survive.
the entire time I was like pronouncing the names. I'm like Pangera, Pangera.
No.
In my in my horse game, there's a trait called Pangare, and so I was just like, that's the only thing that I could say for that name because it made me
That's
think of
dope.
it.
Nice.
Oops.
Very nice.
Yeah, so like that was the logic. Like you have this political marriage between Pangea and Eleonora, and she doesn't see him often because he's in the military and has to deal with military duties. And then you got Torin over here, who is on Romulus as a senator, mostly at home, is the one teaching Eleanor the ropes most of the time. So, yeah, technically the relationship between them is technically more natural than between her and Pantier. So I was like, and of course, Eleanor, because I did sort of point that out in chapter 4 and 3, where Eleanor brings sort of life to the house with a snippy wit, and she's not as afraid of Doran.
Yeah,
Like,
that part I was like,
Lux. I'm gonna read that out. Lux, you gotta say that out loud.
Okay.
Panera bread. I always just pronounce it like Pangea, like the single continent.
Nice.
That works for me, yeah. And the marriage with Panera Bread is political.
Oh,
I know. Then Chapter 5 was weird because it started off with a very romantic note, and I was like, oh god, how do I do this? How do I switch gears to this? I need angst. This is supposed to be angst. Where did this come from? Please, I can't do romance.
I love it. When the characters are like, but I want to. And they bat their eyelashes at you and like, down, down, girl.
And then it's like, I'm afraid now here's some implied sex.
Child. It went from creation of a child to child real quick.
Yeah.
Very.
I was reading it and I was like, well, I hope this isn't going in the. I hope I'm not gonna have to read what I think is gonna happen.
Don't worry,
No,
I
it was
can't do smut. That would be so out of place for the tone of the fic.
A little bit.
No NSFW. No NSFW on stream.
Yeah, don't worry. If anything had an SW in it, I wouldn't have posted it.
Yeah.
I don't do smut. I do angst.
Yeah. Oh, angst is fun. Oh my gosh.
But you did post that one Bloodborne fic that was kind of kinky with like collars and stuff.
You mean the one shot with Aliphasis?
Yeah.
Well, I guess you could call it kinky, but Aliphasis is not very consenting in that situation.
Yeah.
No.
What?
Really?
Okay. Are y'all ready?
Collars are hot.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Yeah. I'm
Are you
game.
ready? Okay. All right. This next one was written by Archer, and it's not complete yet, but here is a teaser.
Ooh, wait, is this an exclusive?
Absolutely, it is an exclusive.
Awesome.
We
Exclusive
have been
look.
blessed. It is. Thank you, Archer. All right, let's go. Let me see. Gavril put down his pen at last and held out an imperious cupped hand. Theo made a show of rummaging in a pocket to produce the gems. 2 crescents, different stages of metastasis, and the third, precious droplet, contained in that one he handed back immediately.
Hey, cutting off,
You-
are you on the laptop?
No, I'm not actually. Maybe it's.
Or not?
Not sure why. Okay. That's really unfortunate.
Oh,
Is
dear.
it still cutting out, or am I doing okay?
Seems
It
okay
sounds like
now.
you're doing okay.
That's okay.
Okay, maybe I was holding my. I wonder if my. Hold on. I wonder if my cell phone, my little phone, interferes with that. Let me do something more. Maybe. Okay, we'll see if that makes it more consistent. Okay. You'll make better use of this than I see. Yes, but it's not the like of the. He held one of the reddish eyes and
Oh god,
like
you're
little.
still cutting out.
Oh,
It's like right when you're trying to
Every
do
other
the
word.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
That
is
doesn't make sense. Like, why is this
obnoxious.
happening?
Okay.
Hmm.
Let me. Give me a second.
Stay tuned as we solve these technical difficulties.
Please stand by.
Honey, now would be a good time for you to download Monster Hunter.
That would be a
would
good
be
time to download
actually.
Monster Hunter. This is so All right. Okay. New treat for myself. New headset. Better headset. Better.
I love that.
Okay.
Better headset.
Should I just restart?
Sure.
If you like.
That's fine if that's fine with you.
It is not long. Okay. Let me see. Gavril put down his pen at last and held out an imperious cupped hand. Theo made a show of rummaging in a pocket to produce gems, 2 crescents in different stages of stasis, and the precious droplet contained in a used blood. That one he handed back immediately. You'll make better use of this than I. A rarity, yes, but it's not the like of these. He held one of the crescents, reddish eyes adorning its arc glinted like little jewels. The blind crimson eyes of the beast that had shed it spoke to the gem in a passionate whisper. Oh, aren't you lovely? To the second one also, its blackened spires and branches a miniature landscape. And this one also! It blended into his gloves so well Theo could barely make it out. Thin clot of material against the black. Gavril chewed at it like a maiden with a kitten. Crossed their arms, patient with it. Gavril spoke again, in his usual light tone. Too cursed for you, Hunter. Not the eyes to appreciate it, not yet. Hold on to these. My thanks. Banished them into a pocket of his white robe, seeming entirely satisfied. Now, haven't you other portions of the explore? Are you done with it? Theo snorted. Not hardly. Then off with you, Hunter. Go. Hunt. Already halfway out the door to deliver a parting shot. Oh, Gavril! Oleg sends his greeting. He whipped around like a snake, mouth half open, but whatever words he said were the door.
Yippee!
Okay.
You were still cutting out.
Yeah.
Not as
I'm
bad, but
so freaking sad. Okay.
I'm sorry.
I'm sure it sounded amazing if we were sitting next to you. I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm joking.
Oh my god.
Boo-hoo! If we were sitting next to each other, I'd steal your headset. I can borrow it. I borrow them temporarily.
Yeah. Would never steal anything from me.
I would never.
I'd trust her with my banking information and my social security number.
According to Om, she already has my bank.
You gave all your credit card details.
I've got Lux, I've got Troy, I've got
You don't have I can help it.
I think she
Oh
got
my
you
gosh.
too, Corey.
That's the
Because
real reason why she's our friend.
I've been
Yeah.
hacked. She has
Don't
just
make an
as,
enemy
like,
of me.
she has just to blackmail us to keep us friends.
There you
she
go,
has
there you
the
go.
blackmail. We're
That way
actually
we'll know
doing
that
readings
that's
because threatened to threatened to release my social security one number at a time.
No.
One number at a time. One number for every fic not read.
Oh damn! This is like the dark platonic genre. There we go. How far can we go with our friendship here?
It's like a name for yaoi, but it's friendship.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the toxic yaoi of friendships.
Toxic platonic relationships. Oh my god. You never see them. You never see these. Wow.
Might have
Making our
seen
own
them
genre
before.
here. Oh man. Oh, I'm so sad about the cutout though, man.
Yeah,
Maybe I'll try the laptop again. Who knows?
bizarre thing is, you sound
Yeah.
completely
Anything
fine.
works.
Why is it
Now?
not cutting off right now?
Yeah, like whenever you're talking normally, it's fine, but then when you try to read, it just starts cutting out for after like a certain amount of time, and it's like, no,
It just
I
doesn't
don't know
like
why that happened.
Oh, that's
your
right.
Mac doesn't
and how
like
my
accents. That's it.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I have to teach it to like my accent. Okay, so I have to speak like this all the time now. That's actually my normal.
It's actually working.
I like that. I like that.
There we go. All right.
It might be a little more optimized if you sound like Stitch. That's what I heard.
Alright, well, I was doing that for a long period of time. I'm gonna lose my voice slower, but that's okay. It's worth it.
Yay!
Perfect. Alright, let me see here. What do we have?
I love this.
I want Stitch MO3 in my
I mean,
campaign.
darn it. I know. Wait, hold on. No. Delete you from this. Where is my Brussels? We just read that one. Okay, wait. We just read that one. Not that one.
Thank you, Alma. It makes me happy.
You're so welcome. I'm glad I
Thank you,
can
honey, for the
entertain
dance.
and hopefully not to be cut off by my headset. That is the joy of it. Oh my gosh.
I'll be
That
back
was
in
so
a
song.
Okay,
Oh my
Chloe.
goodness, I have to go this. Hold on. This is taking a hot second.
I forgot to pay attention to anything you were saying. All I could hear was the inflection and tone of your voice. I didn't understand any words.
Me when my boss lectures me.
I don't know. So we're happy here in this place, and that's all you need. Yeah.
I love the little slip of your regular voice in there too. It's kind of like Stitch forgets how to talk in his weird voice, and so he just talks normal for a second.
It comes out. I do have. Oh, I do have another one by Stag actually. So we would have to
Please don't wear out your voice.
which would be funny. You want me to read it in his voice?
Oh my god.
Do it.
You're gonna kill me.
Oh my god.
Sapling, sorry.
Where am I? Okay. Yeah, don't wear out your voice as funny as it is.
It does with this. It's okay. I just have to remember to leave my voice on. I don't know if I can turn it back at this point.
I think you can. Try
Um,
harder.
Is gone.
Is gone.
British Stitcher.
There's only
British Stitcher is combining and oh, I really am. We're going. Hold on. Do we have the pickups, Lex?
It's like you inhaled a whole balloon of helium and 3 others. Oh yes, I have the pickup. Who's going? Is it you and Devlin?
My bag of Romulus.
Oh my god! I need you to change your name to Stitch in Discord right now.
Change my name for me. Don't stand there. Give your permission. Oh,
I honestly have trouble understanding you.
Little runoffs I made between late 2022 and early 2023.
Oh my god! This feels like a 3 a.m. kind of call right now.
Like we're already delirious.
Yeah. Oh my god!
Do we do a joke reading and then a serious reading?
Yeah, do you do that? You know, read the second chapter if you want to.
You sound like Elmo now. You sound like Elmo!
I legit cannot understand what you're saying.
Corey's commentary of voice.
What? This is a little more gritty, just a little bit though. Alright. Next chapter, when unexpected first words. Torrent sighed, trying to set Thanos down. Fortunately, the child did not want to let go of him, merely curling further into his robes and gripping tight. A small whine left him as Torrent carefully pried him off. I cannot start dinner with carrying a child.
Oh my gosh.
No!
Thanos round louder. Torrent's legs half dangling from his arms. Must you be so stubborn? Leonora chuckled from the doorway. Leslie stood behind her. Torrent hummed. That would be appreciated. See if he will go to you so I can start dinner. Eleonora held out her arms, calling out for Tiana Horse. Lifted his head to look at her, but stayed curled into his ankle. Torrent sighed aloud. Stubborn child! Go to your Leonov! He handed it to her, managing to pry him off. There we are! Her smelled distressed noses as Torrent walked away. Eleonora tried to soothe him while he screamed and screeched for his uncle. Eleanor's mouth opened, and Torrent rolled back and looked excited. He spoke! My brother spoke! Torrent slowly turned back around, processing his nephew's word. Not good enough, or clear enough, as typically expected. Scarce no. Becky's first word was clear enough. Danhurst continued, reaching for him. Never what was heard. Eleanor laughed, beaming frozen butter. Gonna let you walk away, I suppose not. Torn sense of pride melting around his stars. She gave to she gave Danhurst back to him. I do dinner tonight. You can just walk me through what we are having like last time. Danhurst purred happily and buried himself into Torrent's robes once again. Torrent smiled. A purr rippled through his own chest. Yes, that will do nicely. Thank you, Stag, for letting me read.
That was awesome. You did great.
I think that was the best audiobook experience I've ever had in my life.
I didn't understand a single word, but that was great.
All there was vibes. Straight vibes.
It was like three different spirits fighting over your body.
I loved this too, by the way. It's my first time reading. Stag, this is adorable.
First time reading.
Was that accurate to the source material?
Was it?
Yeah, what is the commentary on
Stag,
that?
are you okay? Stag, are you okay?
I don't know how to react to it.
Answer the question, Stag.
What? What question? Why did I get asked? I don't know. I don't know what I
3 a.m.
um,
vibes.
give me a second to recompose.
Yes, breathe. Let's get some water in here.
Yeah, we'll play some relaxing sounds and call.
No.
You
Just
didn't
no.
feel me crying. My face hurts.
Oh my gosh. I am happy then. Mission accomplished.
I think you have freaking.
All of the knives.
Knives Out, starring James Bond. Yes, right.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh my gosh! What did I just unplug?
Wait, what'd you?
What happened?
How do I save gifts?
I don't know.
So, what was your
Okay.
question first? Tag?
Oh, I was just asking if it's accurate to the source material.
Well, no, but it was hilarious. I will. And while it was hilarious and that was a really much needed laugh, I will ask that my fics not be read like that again.
Absolutely understandable. Have
Disrespecting
a nice day.
material.
I will.
See myself
I
out.
I do. I do want to ask if y'all want, if anyone wants to do like another, like as I said, doing the joke reading and then the serious reading.
Yeah.
I could. I feel like everyone.
I
Yeah.
I could go. I could give it a little whirl. It's been
Yeah,
an
you want to
hour
read
already. I
this
didn't
one?
read anything yet. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could go for it. So you sure you don't want me to sound like Stitch? No, just joking.
I do want to hear your impression though, just a second.
Oh no, I was just joking. I can't do voices or anything. I can't even
Try.
do accents or anything like that.
You do have a
Try
southern
for
accent.
me. Yeah, you do. So, try. While you're around here.
Wait.
Let's do, you know, let's do a little girl. We're just a little girl. You can do it. I believe in you.
I can't sound like Stitch. No, sorry.
Oh, okay.
It's no
It's
good.
fine.
I can't
It's
sound
no
like Stitch.
good. No.
Ohana means
It's
family.
yes.
Stitch is
Uh,
on hold.
This does make me want to watch Lilo and Stitch again. I miss
It's a great movie.
the movie and the series.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think I've seen the series actually.
It's fun, actually.
Mm.
Used to catch it every time it was on. It's like, yep, that's the best
Oh
one
wait,
right there.
is that the one that debuts the other kind of Stitches, like alien friends? Oh, okay.
The
That makes
other
sense.
625 of them. Amazing.
Okay, I could give this a whirl.
Which would be
Apologies if I say anything wrong, which I probably will, but I'll say it confidently, like Night
There you
Honeybee
go.
said.
There you go.
Okay, Chapter 1, Unexpected First Words. Are inside, trying to set Tianahost down. Unfortunately, the child did not want to let go of him, merely curling further into his robes and gripping it tight. Small whine left as Tiana and Toran carefully pried him off. Cannot start dinner while carrying you, child. Tianahost whined louder, grasped Toran's sleeves, half dangling from his arms. Must you be so stubborn? Needing help there? Eleonora chuckled from the doorway. Vivki stood behind her. Thorin hummed. Help would be appreciated. See if he will go to you so I can start dinner. Eleonora held out her hands, calling out for Tianahos. He lifted his head to look at her, but stayed curled into his uncle. Thorin sighed again. Stubborn child, go to your Riranov. He handed Tiana to her, managing to pry him off. There we are. Tianahos made distressed noises as Thorin walked away. Eleanor tried to soothe him while he squirmed and reached for his uncle. Right. Eleanor's mouth fell open. Thorin froze. Vicky looked excited. He spoke.
Yeah, me.
My brother spoke. Thorin slowly turned around, processing his nephew's first word. Not Diranov or Riranov as typically expected. Ria, his close name. Yuki's first word was Rinano. Tianahos continued reaching for him. Yeah. There was no mistaking what was heard. Eleanor laughed, beaming at her frozen brother-in-law. Don't think Leo's just gonna let you walk away, huh? Suppose not. Thorin moved forward, a sense of pride melting away his daze. Here, he gave Tianahos back to him. I'll do dinner tonight. You can just walk me through what we're having like last time. Deal? Tianahos purred happily and buried himself into Thorin's robes once again. Thorin smiled warmly. Purr rippled through his own chest. Yeah, that will do it nicely.
That's nice.
That is really cute.
Yeah, that was very nice. Much better than Yoda and Elmo Fish. Oh my gosh, the mic did not cut off for that one. Actually.
I did at the end, but it was still like very funny. Like most of the time, it
Oh,
didn't
man.
cut off. I was like, how come it's not cutting off here? It's just invincible when you do the voice.
Apparently so. I think I just have to be. Damn. I gotta pretend I'm on the stage so it catches every single thing I say.
I can read the next chapter if y'all are wanting.
Sure. Did Corey want to have a turn?
Yeah, I can read the next chapter.
Yeah, it seems relatively short. I can send that link as well. Or if everyone turns to the next page.
Yeah.
Girls. If you his uncle. Chapter 2. Chapter 2, Broken Beakers. Also, what does the title mean in Romulan?
So there are 2 words for uncle, aunt, nephew, and niece. That one means uncle, parental uncle, or paternal uncle. There we go. So uncle's on his father's side, basically. But essentially, it just means uncle.
He has 2 uncles?
Yes, because Pangier has 2 brothers.
Oh, okay.
That's kind of how that works. But yeah, that's what that means. I think I
Alright.
Yeah, okay. Alright.
Alright. It was all too much. He couldn't breathe. His heart pounded against his side, in his ears. He tried to control his shaking and fight back the tears that threatened to spill. He had accidentally knocked over a glass beaker, shattering it. It didn't contain anything, but that did not matter to him. He felt pathetic. Perhaps his detractors were right. Perhaps he would never make a proper Romulan if he couldn't even reach for something without breaking one of his uncle's beakers. Theothan carefully touched his shoulder, making him jump, not having heard his uncle come up behind him. A small whimper escaped him before he could stop it. Pathetic, absolutely pathetic. Manducaris, Theothan started, concerned. Look at me. Am I pronouncing the name correctly?
It's Teothan.
Teothan. Tianathos?
Tianahos.
Tianahos tentatively glanced at him, then quickly back to the shattered glass, then back to his uncle. Ray Usay didn't mean to. He weakly managed. His throat felt dry. He felt ill. Teothan softly shushed him, and a familiar peace eased his frayed nerves. It's all right, Leo. I have plenty of those and have broken more than a few myself. It happens. We just need to clean it up and move on. He blinked curiously, almost disbelieving. It was hard to imagine his uncle fumbling and knocking something over, seeming so graceful, measured, and certain, especially in the lab, a mark of a seasoned scientist and centurion, something Tianahos admired. Teothan chuckled as if sensing his thoughts. Oh yes, I've broken several of these. I still do on occasion, most by accident. Some in a fit of rage. It is just another inconvenience we must deal with. Besides, it is not as messy as it could be. Come, help me get this swept up. Then we can get back to your school assignment. Eh? He nodded eagerly and smiled. De dinam de runny Haydor.
Yay! Also
A lot of
really
words to start with D.
That was sweet.
Mhm.
Poor Tiana host, though, man. I understand that exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have also knocked over a beaker and shattered it by accident.
No, no.
Is that what
Yeah,
inspired?
What?
yeah, they're fragile.
Mm.
Hmm.
Are we just learning Romulan today?
Yes.
We are.
Yeah.
Teach us your way.
Well, it depends. What's next? Did you want Dracula? Did you want something else?
Ooh. Let me see. I was leaving a comment.
Oh.
Okay.
Are we just finishing this whole series?
Oh man. Well, the next one I have is actually let me build it up. It's Eyes of a Predator by our very own Terori.
Ooh.
And I have read their work
Ah.
before. Yeah, let me post the real
Wait, our own who?
Terori? Oh, you haven't heard of? What?
Oh, yes, 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 yes.
Yeah.
Tori ask us to read this just to make sure.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, and it is a classic Dark Souls 3 fan fiction.
I've heard of that game.
Oh, have you?
Just a little bit.
You know, it's a little bit off radar, I know. A little off this group too. What an introduction. You're gonna be delighted. It's about Ornstein. And him, the Lord's Braid Kieran. Ooh. There may be
Okay.
crying involved, and emotional hurt and comfort, and mentions of the nameless king, son's first born.
Oh
And she goes
boy.
Solaire.
So, we love a good. I mean,
Oh god, your mic.
obviously. No, Mike.
I guess since I haven't read, I'll read this, I guess, if y'all want.
Yeah.
Oh
It's
yeah.
only 1,000, almost 2,000 words. Yeah. Not bad.
This isn't going to be as difficult as trying to read the third chapter of Fear, so.
It's very impressing. Ornstein. Not Ornstein. That's a reminder from.
Alright. I'm actually going to go pee first, and then I'll get back to you.
Bathroom break!
Yep.
Bathroom break.
Nice. Bathroom break. Don't forget to take a bathroom break. If you don't, then you're gonna regret it. Watch it. That's it. That's all I had for you today. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna have a birthday. Soon. Not soon, actually. March is really long.
Wait, you're gonna have a what?
Birthday coming up.
Oh,
Oh,
you're
Oh,
catching up to me.
fun.
Wahoo!
What do you want for your birthday?
What do I want for my birthday?
Yeah, what are you hoping for?
oh, your birthday.
Oh, my birthday. Yeah.
Yeah, you said you could have a birthday.
Yeah.
Wait, is it your
Is
birthday?
your birthday the one that's coming up?
No, mine's in December.
Huh?
Wait, who's answering?
I was asking Omev. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, my birthday's in March.
Oh my gosh! I need to make you another present.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do. I'm gonna
We're
make you another
fine.
Stalin present.
Don't you dare.
Yeah,
You
do
know
you
what I
want
like.
anything for your birthday?
Do I want anything?
Wink, wink,
Yes.
nudge, nudge.
Well, eating lunch a lot lately, but I'm also dark. Back to Anne.
You're cutting out a bit.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Yeah.
I can't any inflection. You guys tell me what mics you have. I need to upgrade. This is sad.
I have whatever came with the PC. It's like this weird. It doesn't even look like a mic. It's like this weird little knob thing that has a mic attached to it.
I have
Oh.
a Logitech webcam and also a Razer headset.
Razer.
The
Okay,
headset
maybe I
works
heard.
pretty well.
I have a
Razer.
Switch headset. It's for the Switch.
And it works better than mine, okay?
Wow.
Damn.
Yeah.
I don't remember what brand mine is. I just grabbed the one that's like, yeah, this one's got decent enough reviews, and it's kept me going for years.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's nice.
Maybe what if I hold on? Automatically determine input sensitive. What if I take that off?
Okay,
How about now? Better? Yeah?
I feel like you
better?
would have to
It
talk a
sounds
lot.
Yeah.
It does sound
Okay.
better though.
Once upon a time, there was a group of friends who decided to do a reading together, and they
That
decided to
sounds
read
really
a bunch of
good.
Works a lot
fan
better.
fiction.
Yeah.
And
It's
one
perfect.
time, two girls, one cup never showed it to me again.
This is what I think it is.
No, it's just like a guy cutting off because of the lag.
Okay.
This is sad. Is it better or worse? Be honest
That
with
sounded
me.
better.
It's a lot
Better?
better.
Oh,
Yeah, no,
really?
it's definitely better.
Discord was being mean to me this whole time. I was being bullied. I should sue.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, it was
cyberbullying.
Discord's fault.
Discord. Damn it.
For real.
Okay.
So,
Excellent.
if we are
Okay.
ready.
Oh.
Yes.
Yes.
Good to go.
Alright. So, Ornstein could feel her eyes on him, as he had been feeling them for a long time now. Someone could say that he was used to it after so many years of friendship, but no. Indeed, he was used to a friendly gaze, one that enjoyed teasing him, one that shined with happiness before speaking about her day or with mischief when it was time to gossip about the weird things she had found out about the nobility. Her eyes had never felt like a dagger before, so sharp and cold, lingering over his throat and waiting for him to make one wrong move. He wasn't used to her eyes being used as a weapon against him. It was unfamiliar, as everything else that had been happening as of late. After thinking about the past days, the last thing Ornstein wanted was to look weak in front of her, and so he took a second to close his eyes and recollect himself. When he opened them, he breathed calmer, eyes fixed on the full moon up in the sky. He decided it was time to put an end to this torture. Come out, he commanded dryly, not daring to lower his gaze and face the smashed statue of the abandoned altar. The parish was submerged in a deadly silence, as every other part of Lordran with a similar shrine. No one visited or took care of them anymore, as if they had never existed. The dust and weeds were starting to claim the remnants of these statues. Such a distressing sight, but after all, it was what he deserved, didn't he? The rustle of leather armor broke the silence at last. Ornstein was standing as rigid as the proud statue that should have been there, holding his breath before the overwhelming thoughts that started to invade his mind. Xian walked towards him, keeping a few steps between them for good measure. It felt like a punch straight to his stomach. He wasn't wearing his armor in favor of discreet clothes. With them, it was easier to sneak out of the castle without getting the attention of the patrolling guards, but to Siran clear it was clear that something was going on, and that he was leading her on purpose to this very altar. Unlike Ornstein, Siren was brave enough to look at the base of the statue, where only the feet remained. Is this what you wanted? Ornstein asked. For me to make a mistake and show that I still have faith in the firstborn, any sympathy. I have no such desires. I am just following orders. Orders, he huffed. No, you are afraid I am going to betray our Lord, just as everyone else around me. Siran turned her head to meet his eyes, so full of pain that made her stomach shrink. It happens sometimes, when the target was a pregnant woman or a young boy with a whole life ahead. No matter how distressing the situation was, the job had to be done without question. She took a few deep breaths in the way she had been taught to clear her mind and set her feelings aside. When Ornstein took a step forward, his movements weren't rushed, nor did they startle Siran. But what he did after kneeling in front of the statue made her stand on end. Hands folded in a pleading gesture, a prayer was murmured. It made Ornstein feel warmth blooming inside his chest and closeness to a core part of him that was ripped away from his being overnight. The force of how much he was missing him, this him, hit Ornstein like a weapon, closing his throat, drowning him in the black sea that were his own abandoned feelings. Captain, Siren's voice came out a distant thread, breaking the spell, re- hand reaching her side to close around her tracer. What are you trying to obtain from this? After a while without answer, Ornstein caressed the stone with a shaky hand. Here, you have proof, he announced, after rising from the floor and turning to face her defiantly. You have seen me here, praying to Lord Gwynson, and now you have heard me say his name too. You are allowed to take me back to Orlando to make me face the consequences of my betrayal. It was the first time in which he had dared to speak his name since that awful day happened, and Ornstein couldn't have imagined that it would have such a huge impact on him. An ache appeared inside his chest. His lower lip started to tremble, his head felt dizzy. Ornstein knew he needed to keep it together, just like he had been doing all this time to avoid judging eyes, to avoid more suspicions. But he was tired of pretending that he was no more an insensitive knight, just as much as he was tired of this god-awful distrust. With the firstborn banishment, Ornstein had been put in doubt, re- relegated from all his duties, grounded to a pointless office job, and left out of every meeting, in fear he was an inside spy left behind by the prince. Wherever he went, eyes were upon him, and conversations were put on hold. Wherever he went, he was followed by the Blades, by Siran. Wherever he went, someone was always keeping track of every little one of his actions, of every little glimpse of emotion he was careless enough to show. He was watched from dawn to dawn. However, even after dealing with this disgrace as a daily basis, what really hurt him the most was that the people he thought his dearest friends didn't trust him anymore. Goth and Artorias distanced themselves from Ornstein, almost giving him the cold shoulder, and Tiran became a dangerous ghost, a ghost that could take him out in any moment when he least expected it. You know well that many have been taken under the executioner's hammer by far less, Siron said, revolted by how weak and tired Ornstein looked all of a sudden, and feeling her own face turning pale. None of this felt right. I'm going to I'm going to ask once, Captain, why are you doing this? Ornstein wished to answer her question, but the words got caught in his throat. He wanted to say that the reason behind this was because his honor had been smashed to dust, because his pride was still big enough to not want anyone to treat him like a stinky dog, because he had been hurt like he had never been before, because he couldn't live with the idea of hating the only person he treasured the most, nor have the people he loved turn their backs to him when he needed them. Instead, he turned his face down, brow frowned, and remained silent. The conflict in his face made Siran feel horrible, and her resolve to catch any traitor collapse. She couldn't do this to him, to her captain, to her dearest friend, to Ornstein. She couldn't. She couldn't bear the weight of sentencing him to death. In a blink of an eye, Siran released the handle of her tracer and closed the distance between them. She reached for his arm first to not startle him, in the usual gesture of comfort they used to share together. I'm so sorry, Ornstein, she muttered. I was so blind by my own anger that I couldn't see that you. At the sudden touch, Ornstein's body went rigid. A tender hand was the last thing he was expecting to get from her. He didn't know what to do, so he stayed still, dealing with that annoying lump in his throat while choking down the swirl of words and thoughts and feelings and fears. Could you How could you even be a traitor? I am such a fool to think you were. Xieran breathed out in a shaky whimper. I won't take you to Lord Gwyn, and I'll order the blades to stop watching you from now on. Xieran, no, he whispered, fixed in the dark eyes fixed in the dark holes of her mask. Bring me. Hang it. Sorry, my nose keeps stopping up while I'm trying to talk. Bring me to him. You've seen what I've done. I can't. She stopped touching Ornstein, her own face twisted with concern. She met his eyes, dark and glassy, and she hated herself for putting the pressure of being watched up by the blades upon him. Ornstein was broken more than anyone. And since the first day from the banishment, he had been judged without being given the chance to prove his own innocence. That he had been betrayed just like anyone else, if not more. Ornstein, I won't do that to you. I can't. And why not, Siran? His voice came out broken. He ruined everything. Ruined my honor, my life. Now there's nothing. Ornstein interrupted himself with a sudden sob, and his knees started shaking, announcing they were going to fail him any time. He ended up sitting on in the He ended up sitting on the stairs leading up to the broken statue to not embarrass himself further. Giving a pitiful display was the last thing he wanted to do. But the tears, once they started to wet his cheeks, couldn't be stopped anymore. They had been hidden long enough. Why did you think I was a threat? He sobbed. After everything, I thought I meant nothing to you. I was so lonely. Ornstein didn't say it out loud. He wouldn't dare to admit it. But Siran knew it was the word caught in his throat. Immediately after, she was kneeling and hugging Ornstein, arms closed tight around his shoulders, her mask removed and cast aside with the assassin who had been tormenting him. I don't know, she said, voice strangled. It was the first time Siran had seen Ornstein crying, and she would have never thought that it would hurt so bad, especially knowing she had taken a part in the suffering. And he was so important to you, and I thought you would do anything for him. Orders were given, and I didn't think twice, but now I see it. You're the one he played with the most. His hands clenched the leather in the back of her armor in a desperate attempt to pull her closer. I am so sorry, Siran continued, her own eyes clouded by tears. She tried not to cry, but it was hopeless. I won't leave you alone, Ornstein. Never again. Those words made Ornstein's heart hurt under his ribcage, turning his weeping into an ugly mess of tears, snot and sobs. Suddenly, crying didn't even feel enough. Ornstein wanted to scream, to punch and kick the statue, to get rid of all this pain at once and stop the pity show. He was he was clinging at Siran as if his life depended on it, as if his own sanity depended on it. He feared that she would turn her back against him once more after this moment had passed. He feared that maybe everything was a farce to make him spill every non-existent secret. Ornstein didn't want her to leave. He needed his friend. He needed her to trust him again. We can stay here as much as you need, she murmured against his ear, hand moving up to start caressing the back of his head. Take all the time you need. I won't go anywhere. Ornstein whimpered weakly before hiding his face in her shoulder. Siran didn't complain. The tears and snot coating the cloth of her armor weren't important. She knew that Ornstein needed a place to hide now, to let out all his sadness without being judged for one. She was willing to give that place to him. It was the least she could do now.
Wow.
Wow.
Oh, boy.
Important.
I like that.
Mm-hmm. Way to
That
go,
was very well
Tori.
done.
But thank you, Stag, for the very
I'm not
beautiful
entirely
reading.
sure what that was about, but there was a lot of angst.
So it's
Sorry,
one
I don't
letter.
know. I don't know the Lord of Dark Souls soup,
That's okay. You'll
but
learn
I'm
it.
slowly learning it
Yeah.
Absolutely. In
as I play
time.
more of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love angst.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Angst is good. Ooh. Hey, Owl, you know what's next on the list?
What?
Maybe I'll just send the link now that I can speak clearly because my headset won't cut me off, I'll just not speak. Okay, here we go. Here we are.
Oh my god.
Here we are. Alter
Oh
Vita.
my god.
How many words is it? Do you want to know? So far,
So
122,635
oh man.
have been written for this
Oh
week.
man. Yep, it is. It is lengthy, and I'm not even halfway done.
I know.
Wow.
Not even halfway
It's
done.
beautiful. Oh my gosh.
Ooh.
I didn't even know you could add images, if I'm being real.
Yeah.
Want to
Yeah,
learn how
so
actually.
I did it how I did it was when I did this with my other stray fanfic too, is I post the image I want to have on there on my Tumblr. And AO3 is very selective with where you get your images for some reason, but you're able to like I don't know. I'd have to look to tell you exactly how to do it, but basically, you post the image on Tumblr, you copy the image from Tumblr, or you copy the link from Tumblr, and then put it in AO3, and it'll let you paste it there. That's how
Yeah.
I did.
Oh.
Fascinating. Okay.
I
That's very
had an,
cool.
I had an image at the beginning of Dark Red, a thing I drew myself, but then the image broke,
No.
and I didn't know how to replace it, so I just got rid of it.
Yeah,
Oh
Oh,
no.
that would be because of Discord's deciding that if you
yeah,
copy an image from Discord, it expires now.
I may have
Oh,
copied and pasted from
sucks.
Discord, so that's annoying.
Mm.
That sucks.
Discord, why are you discordant?
Eh.
Okay. Fun aside,
That's
though,
fine.
did we
I don't
want
even know if I
to?
left the art anymore now.
Mm? Do we want to start Alter Vita tonight? Or how are we feeling? Where's the
Oh,
sauce at?
Yeah,
I'm
how's everyone
fine.
feeling?
I can keep
It's not
going.
that late for me at all.
Okay.
I know it's
Okay.
really early for me. I'm like, so whatever
Oh,
y'all.
I just did a nap. It's not good for me to stay up, but I'm like
I still
fuck.
need to finish this, so I will be up.
Okay.
I need to go to the bathroom in a second.
Did you ask
Yeah.
the
Okay.
author if we could read this song?
Hey, Owl!
I am the author. Yeah, I'm fine with it. No.
Yay! Okay,
Yay!
who
Okay.
would like to read the Dark Souls by Owl?
I'll be back 1 second.
Oh, after Corey comes back.
I can, if you want, I can start. I can start us with reading the prologue.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's been a very long time since I've gone back and read these because I actually, oh my god, I wrote the first couple chapters like I think 4 years ago now. It's been a
Oh
while.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The whole high school
but
rotation.
yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
So just here. When do you want me to start?
Did you want to wait for Corey or did you want to?
Oh yeah, that's better. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, I'm excited. It's been a long time since I've read it
I'm so
too.
excited too.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yippee.
Y'all are in for
I
a
really,
treat.
yay, yeah. I really hope I don't find any typos while I'm reading it. That would suck.
Oh my god.
Welcome
Why
to
do you
my
think I'm
world when they were
Both helpful and also, oh no.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I gotta go through this and read watch the VOD tomorrow to properly look through this. I still need to update the other chapters on Quotive and fanfiction.net too.
You'll get there. It's
Yeah.
fine.
I also
It'll be
still need to
great.
upload these one-shots to Quotive.
Oh yeah.
I uploaded them to AO3 because I was mass posting.
Oh,
Mm.
man. if I did let you guys read one of my, probably the We Happy Few fic. It's much, much, much shorter.
That would be so cool.
I would be so lost.
Honey, it would be funny. No, it's not that. It's pretty, like, it's Britain, but Britain with a drug addiction. Like, it's still Britain.
Yeah.
Woohoo! It's, oh, well. If you read the other one, though, it's just too long. It's too long. Too long. I have 82 pages for the second chapter.
Oh my god.
You for a second.
Wow.
Is that just the second chapter? Is that combined with the first one?
No, it's the second chapter completely. I need to edit it down. I need to not have so many words.
I've been trying to get through the first chapter, and I'm having a good time, but it is pretty long.
I mean, if nothing else, you could always snap the chapter in half.
Yeah.
You could like split
it.
Jesus, like, good lord, and I thought some of my chapters got long. Most of my I think my longest thing that I've written is like at least 20 pages.
That's awesome.
Not including the transcript, but a transcript's a transcript.
Yeah, that's like a good size though. That's a novella. I don't know what I'm doing. I'll be over here with Owl or Spider's Georg or something. Although I say that, honey, yours with oh my gosh, with Nines and Gavin, right?
Gavin, yeah.
That one's also chunky.
It is pretty chunky. Let me find the exact number. I feel like it hit like a regular novel length.
Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely.
Like 60,000.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you do that? There we go. That's the new one. The old one is exactly 65,134 words.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a lot of words.
That's good.
That is a lot of words. Man. All that to not finish it.
I know the feeling.
Yeah. Oh my gosh! The exact noise to pain me.
Yeah. Yeah. At least I know that I only have to do 24 chapters of the one fic I'm writing. So that's my limit. I can't go above that. If I go above that, I shouldn't. I really shouldn't.
Crazy amount of words.
You look at it and you're like, how long is it? And you're like, no. Why'd you do that? Establish things and it's kind of out of hand. There it goes. Just sorry.
Oh man.
But yes. Oh, are we all back for the reading of Alter Vita? Oh yes. Art thou ready, Owl?
I am ready. I'm so excited. Oh my gosh. Okay.
I'm so excited. Oh my goodness.
Me too.
I need to calm myself down.
Let's also call for all of you all to read it and comment. All right.
Okay.
Don't forget your water.
Oh yeah, I have my water here. We're good. Prologue. More Ymir. Many moons ago, nearing the downfall of the Age of Fire, Domhall strode through the bustling thoroughfare of Xena, serenely observing the bypassers and overall scenery as he made his way through the throng of civilians. Mules pulled carts laden with goods, and dirty-faced children scrambled about playing games. Carts of exotic creatures such as basilisks, ants, and even wyverns wheeled past through the gravel. A tall, turbaned man filled his goatskin with water at the public fountain, and a group of women bedazzled in gold and swathed in colorful silk gossiped amongst each other. As the merchant continued on until the shade of the bazaar was cast over him, the air thickened with fragrant spices, and their scent mingled with the odors of sweat and metal every now and again, each familiar scent drifting into the narrow slits of his helmet. The sunlight filtered in through the holes of the plank and parchwood awning above, illuminating the dusk and smoke that drifted in the air and setting the bronze and silver wares on display ablaze. The crowd flowed restlessly, like a wave of color through the narrow rows of the marketplace. A few individuals meandered past the merchant on various forms of transportation, like horses and the occasional griffin, as he swiftly ducked under one of its extended feathery wings. Xena, being the isolated island that it was, had garnered a strikingly unusual impression that never faced a common newcomer. But for Domhall, and the strangeness of everything suited him perfectly. The bright colors of everything that surrounded him matched the textiles that draped his person, almost making the man blend in completely. And he would have, had it not been for the lustrous helmet he had always donned, reflecting the sun's warm rays like an ethereal beacon amongst the crowd. With the clarity of someone who has mapped out the entire kingdom from memory, Bamal finally weaved through the last waves of the afternoon crowd so that the ship docks were now visible. He lifted his hand in greeting as he steadily approached a small group of men, who all seemed to be too invested in a heated dispute to even care enough to returning the gesture. "I submit, gentlemen," Domhall chirped in an orderly fashion, effectively silencing the men's noisy haggling. The group ceased what they had been doing, all regarding the Xenian merchant from behind their gold masks and helmets at once. One of the men, a large, dark, pot-bellied merchant with a turban tightly wound around his head and a thick, curly beard, walked forward from the group as he could eagerly clasp and shake hands with Domhall. The man's eyes lit up at the sight of Domhall, the man's grip on his hand firm and a little too tight for comfort. "Aha, Dom!" His voice boomed across the marketplace, making some bystanders jump and turn in their group. "How good it is to see you!" He rested a hand atop Domhall's shoulder after letting go of his hand, swiveling around to the rest of the men. "This is my partner I was telling you all about. A fantastic zealot, let me tell you, born and bred in Xena. He's practically a natural at managing all the shipment of goods coming in and out of the capital." Domhall opted to ignore the odd feeling he got being presented to others like some sort of caged animal, instead waving a dismissive hand and shaking his head. This man, Salo Badmad, was indeed his partner, though the term partner may have been a bit of an overstatement. They worked in the trading systems as revered merchants, overseeing the ships that docked along the city's foreside. They were nothing more than fast friends, using each other to make it big in life. Domhall and Salo disagreed on a lot of things, but as the saying goes, necessity is the mother of creation, and they had managed to make things work. Salo had always insisted on being at the forefront of the city's hustle bustle, as he had always been the more social of the two. It was practically second nature for him, a nature Domhall had never seemed to understand. So that left Domhall doing the more intricate work that required a more keen eye and his rather large shadow. However, this was now how he preferred it, finding that having everyone's attention be directed away from one can help significantly when one's image, making it overall easier to get tasks done. Together, they went from nothing to the powerful merchants that stood here today, mediating petty arguments. "So, what seems to be the problem then?" Domhall didn't waste time getting down to business, moving the conversation forward before his partner could make another comment about his own achievements, a tactic he had found to be was only used to butter up merchants. The men grumbled and muttered amongst each other from under their various colored garments. "The problem is the new Hall of Twinkling Kyanite," one of the men piped up. "We've been waiting no less than 3 months for it, and I was promised at least 1/4 of the entire stock. Yet clearly I won't be getting what I bargained for, the man spat, eyeing the other merchants whilst Domhall glared daggers at Salo, who simply gave him a sheepish smile from beneath his beard. Twinkling time night, hmm? I see, I see. Domhall's poised, condescending tone made the men frown and shift impatiently. Well, clearly there isn't enough for all of you. Domhall gazed off towards the ships of various shapes and craftsmanship, across the serene ocean waves that stretched into the distant horizon, and the golden sun slowly starting to descend upon the sky. It's a lot of D's in that sentence. He inhaled the salty, warm air of the atmosphere through the little nose slits of his helmet before turning to continue his argument with the men. I hope this isn't you saying you've lied to us, Anil. That's bad business. The silvery voice cut through the crowd like a knife. Oh, shoot, I love this guy. Domhall froze, head snapping over to his aggressor. The group parted, making way so that a shorter man now stood right in front of the merchant. Exalted Amin, powerful merchant of Xena and a long-lasting rival of Domhall and Salo. Anyone would be able to identify the bastard simply from his unique gold helmet in the shape of an eagle's head, which concealed his face completely. The man was wealthy, yet always a step behind Domhall, and Domhall would very much would like to keep it that way. Understand the distress, but I'm not a liar, Domhall shot back at Amin. My sincerest apologies for my partner, however. Next time he will tell me when he's made such an arduous promise. Another jab at Salo, who bowed his head apologetically. Now, we wouldn't want to play favorites, so I suggest all of you wait. We'll postpone everyone receiving their supplies until there is enough to be received. That way, you may all get the same amount at the same time, and there will be no scuffle between shops. He paused, smiling under his helmet at the flabbergasted expressions and the stiffening postures he received. Surely, all of you are not that in need of it now? Are you blowing smoke up our asses? One of the men blurted out. Goodness, no, that would be incredibly unsanitary. No, I was promised. Well, the situation has changed significantly since the promise was made. We won't be we won't be so hasty to make deals we can't keep, but you must understand that it would be even worse business to play obvious favorites. Domhall interrupted coldly, discreetly eyeing Amin, who now stood with his slim arms crossed and the beak of his mask slightly tilted. The men looked appalled, scrutinizing Salo for his impute. He chuckled nervously, clasping his meaty hands together. Yes, sorry lads, but I believe Domhall here is right. We'll have to wait for more twinkling pet knights to come into the harbor before we can have an equal transaction. Wouldn't you all want to start murdering one another? Wouldn't want you all to start murdering one another. The group of colorful merchants angrily mumbled amongst each other, lowering their accusing hands and pointed fingers. Domhall could feel the narrowed eyes of Amin, however, to which he simply straightened his back and gave a curt nod in his direction. Eventually, they all dispersed from the docks once the sun was no longer visible, the sky now littered with twinkling stars. The tide rose, waves gently crashing against the craggy shores, rocking the ships that were strung to the docks with rope. Shops were closing, children were called back into their sandstone homes by mothers and fathers, their little lanterns were lit, illuminating the roads of sand. Domhall felt pride whenever another day had successfully gone by, giving Xena her well-deserved rest. Oh, hang on, I need a drink of water. Narbeth yin inon odek, chinie fidur. Domhall spat, turning to him and hissing through the pointed smile of his helmet, yet still managing to keep his tone relatively quiet so as not to make the heads of bystanders turn towards them. Salo felt the piercing gaze his partner gave him through the narrow slits of his helmet. Dom, I would never endanger our business, especially after everything we've accomplished. You know this, the merchant persuaded, a little too loud for Domhall's liking. As he quickly checked around for any civilians, Salo shook his head, exclaiming exasperatedly, Merwin, dude, you worry too much, lad. This belief that everyone wants you dead is going to eat at you from the inside out. Domhall suppressed the urge to tweak his nose, adjusting the small circular glasses that rested upon it. The two continued on down the darkening road, past the little fountain, listening to the distant cicadas whirring through the night. Oh! His partner exclaimed suddenly, getting Gumhall's attention. They halted their walking as Salo dug and through a small pack that hung at his hip, pulling out something that lightly clattered together in his closed fist. Snagged this pretty trinket. I tried selling it, but everyone's been telling me it's completely worthless. Dumhall raised a brow from under his helmet, watching as Salo lifted it up by its gold chain, a pendant, a simple Aurelian pendant. Domhall silently took it from Salo's hands, letting it dangle from its chain as he lifted it up to his eyes to examine it. The moonlight gently reflected off of its flat surface, giving it an almost silver glow and making the little inlays it had become more visible. Dear me, you didn't steal this, did you? Salo bellowed. No, no, I'm a good man, Dom, free of sin. I am only human after all. They were silent again, before Sala took the medallion from Donald's hands, insisting that he put it on. He lifted the chain above his head, careful as to not catch it on the curled horns of his helmet. Sala then took a step back to admire how it looked around the other merchant's neck. It matches your helmet, too! Domhall didn't say anything, simply regarding Sala with uncertainty. It's a gift, friend. Take it, the merchant finally remarked, smiling at him before turning the other way and steadily proceeding down the path to his own residence. Domha silently stood there and watched as the figure of his partner disappeared down the road. Deep into the thick shadows of the night, he looked down, lifting the round pendant up and letting the lantern light hit it. It took a little while to get back to his own home. It always did, as he lived quite far away from the rest of the city. Whew. It made it so that any enemies of his would have a harder time locating him had they intended him any harm. It also served as a much needed getaway from the chaotic bustle of his day to day activities. Flocks of loud people at every corner of the city, many of which Tom Hall had to interact with in his line of work. Though something a person would not look forward to at the end of a long day, Domald had always found the trek quite pleasant. He would always observe the cranes that lived around the city as they balanced on their skinny legs dipped in the shallow shores of the ocean, searching for tiny fish. Such delicate and beautiful creatures, he thought. He pushed the thickly weaved curtains that draped above his doorway, allowing him to step into his living quarters. An influx of warm air wafted into him as he retired inside, immediately greeted by the familiar sense of spices and timber that he adored so much. The small fireplace nestled in the wall to the right, its pile of hemlock wood currently unlit. Simple earthen painted adobe covered the walls, and colorfully patterned rugs lavished the floor. He inhaled the pleasant aroma of yesterday's incense as he carefully lifted his hefty helmet up from his head. His face, a face he concealed so often in public out of pure habit, was aged and scathed. His skin was a deep olive and his face was edged with lines he acquired through many life-threatening experiences. His eyes were narrow yet held a friendly sort of look to them, with crow's feet and bags giving him a constant appearance of exhaustion. He had a sharp, beautifully hooked nose that was delicately speckled across the brim with freckles, with a thin scar that cut across his skin. His hair was a pure stone silver, pulled back into a small bun. Some of the silver strands were now loose at the front of his face, which he promptly combed back with a swift hand. He ambled over to a little tray, tabled near the center of the room, carefully lighting the intricate bronze brazier that sat on the surface. Domhall seated himself, cross-legged on one of the rugs, pulling the pendant up and off from around his neck to examine it. He took the small circular spectacles off of his helmet, using them to closely look at the trinket, like a jeweler would a diamond. It soothed his senses, as some would say, admiring all the lovely trinkets and oddities he'd acquired from over the many years of living, most of which he acquired from trade. However, sometimes he would travel away from the city, to places he heard fellow travelers whisper tales amongst each other about all the possible treasures that resided there. The dumbfounded looks they adorned when Domhall turned up with the exact treasure they thought to be mere prophecy was certainly a pleasurable bonus. Salo always commented that this quality about him, this knack for extracting valuables from their place of origin and giving them a new home, was why Salo wanted to work with him. Domhall knew this want was merely because Salo profited greatly from it, but that didn't matter to the merchant. That was how business worked after all, and as long as he himself flourished, then it didn't matter what others thought of him. Quietly, shifting his rump against the tasseled cushion he sat upon, he thought back on what Salo had told him. Was he truly being too harsh? His unrelenting sense of distrust, his lack of sympathy, his cutthroat attitude, was it all too much? Domhall was getting old, and soon he'll be too old to keep up this hazardous lifestyle. All he really wanted was to garner enough money to live peacefully and comfortably in the small dwelling place far from the city and scuffling of other merchants. Perhaps visit a few abandoned tombs once in a while to nourish his inclination for exploration, a habit he knew would never truly be quenched. Domhall's breath came out in small puffs, realizing he was too absorbed in his own thinking to thoroughly examine the necklace. Perhaps he should simply go straight to bed tonight. He carefully set down his glasses on the table's surface, rubbing his temples. Suddenly, something caught in his keen peripheral vision. Elegant wisps of incense stuttered, swaying forward with a new force, opposite of his home's entrance. Someone had entered his home. The merchant went rigid. Breathing halted for a second as he rapidly planned on what his next action should be. His back was facing the door, so he was at a disadvantage. In a vain attempt to protect himself, he began feeling around for his precious gold dagger, something he always had on his person. Kashir, he felt his gold dagger with his helmet. He left his gold dagger with his helmet. The one time he opted to let his guard down. Damn that Salo to hell! Domhall ultimately decided to whirl around, at the same time getting out of his cross-legged position in one fell swoop. He turned moon-eyed, heart pounding erratically in his ears. At the entrance stood the moonlit silhouettes of multiple men, some bearing weapons. One of the men, large and bulky with muscle, pierced Domhall with his eyes as he prowled right up to him, the other men staying behind to block his only exit. Domhall hadn't the power to fight back when said man aggressively seized him by his thin wrist, so hard he thought he might snap clean off. He looked up at the large man, face concealed with fabric around the mouth, as the merchant was hauled up to his feet. The pendant, the man growled, throaty and dry. Where's the bloody pendant? Domhall blinked rapidly, mind racing with all the possible outcomes, before quickly holding the pendant up so the man could see it. The man faltered, then narrowed his eyes down at him. 2 fucking feet! Domhall's heart plummeted in an instant. Salo did steal it. No, I didn't steal it. A man gave it to me. Salo Badmad. You can have it back. How quick you are to blame your own partner, Domhall. I thought you'd be more loyal than that. The man smirked from under his letham, releasing Domhall's wrist and moving out of the way so he had a clear view of the entrance. Domhall looked towards the owner's voice, another blackened silhouette appearing from around the curtain, this one significantly shorter than the rest of the men. As he made his way closer, the warm light in his house outlined the pointed beak of his helmet, setting the gold material ablaze. For the second time that night, Domhall's heart sank. Exalted, I mean. Whether you stole it or not is insignificant. Either way, you have it now, the masked man observed. He was wringing his hands together, almost in some sort of sadistic excitement, as he scanned the startled merchant up and down. You see, a lot of men want you dead, dear, and I, for one, could never refuse an opportunity to deliver. Domhall's gaze darted to all of his aggressors, who simply continued to stare him down beneath their various garbs. It felt as if he were being pinned down, surrounded by a pack of hungry wolves. I don't understand why I didn't. Amin shook his head in a mock sympathy, a beak gleaming in the firelight. What is there not to understand? These men here just want justice to whomever stole from them, and the vast majority of merchants want you removed from the marketing competition. They were intending to kill him, Domhall realized grimly. The pendant he held up was now shaking within his clenched fist as he felt himself break out in sweat. They didn't care about the pendant, like Salo had explained. The damn thing was useless. They simply wanted to have something to tell the people of Xena as to why he had miraculously disappeared. He was to die a thief. Oh, and one of the merchants happens to be Salo. Amin got an immense amount of joy seeing Domhal's eyes grow owlish, thin brows rising in fury. In fact, without his aid, I would not have been able to track you down into your living quarters. So much precaution, so much time and isolation, just in case someone wanted you dead. But it was all for naught. Domhall fell silent, deadly so, as the feeling of betrayal settled deep in his chest, sinking its pernicious fangs into his soul. He fell deep into his mind, so much so he didn't even notice when a couple of the men had already begun making their way into the interior of his house, looting whatever valuables they could get their hands on. No, my trinkets, Dumhall thought suddenly. Oh, don't you fret. I'll let you keep the heavy ones. Domhall was lost as to what he meant by that, but he didn't bother explaining, because a large man grabbed him, dragging the merchant out of his house and under the starry sky. The cold chill of the Xenian night air hit his face in one gust, but he was shivering for a completely different reason. As he was pulled out to the cliff edge that sat near his house, the waves crashed violently against jagged stones, then pulled back out with graceful ease, as if beckoning him to join. Every morning, Domha would rise at the exact time, just to watch that perfect moment when the deep colors of the sunrise would sit right along the ocean's horizon, before he would make his way to the city's markets for work. It broke the merchant's heart to know he would never get to see it again. Hang on, I need a little bit of a break. A water break.
Okay.
You're doing so great right now. Oh my gosh.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're doing
You
great right
are
now. Very dramatic
Really
reading.
good.
Thank you so
man.
much.
Gift.
I never realized I had such a passion for reading my stories.
Yes, the intensity. Oh man.
Mhm.
Good.
Oh
Excellent.
man. Yeah, I was so proud of this chapter. When I
You
was
should
younger, I
be.
was like, yes, thank you. Okay. All right.
The finale.
I think it's okay. Take as long
Yeah.
as you need, and if you ever want to
Yeah.
tag in like or
Yeah. 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 Perhaps. I don't
Thank
know.
you.
I'm also into listening, but only if you can manage it.
Yeah, no,
or
I
anyone
think
else, I
I
just
can do this whole chapter.
okay.
It's like one of the longest out of all the chapters in this series so far. So yeah.
Wait, how many
Okay.
chapters did you say is out? So
26.
wowza, that's cool.
Yeah. Thank you.
Wowza is a good word to describe that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Okay, I'm ready.
Okay.
What are you going to do to me? Domhall asked eventually, once they got right up to the cliffside shore. His voice was monotone, devoid of all emotion, as he began to already accept his ever approaching fate. You're smart, dear. I'm sure you can figure it out yourself, was the only response Amin bothered to give as he followed them out from behind. Domhall grimly looked down from their perch, down at the deep abyssal darkness of the ocean's waves. The sounds of shuffling and dragging amidst the sand from behind reached his ears. However, once he realized the sounds grew heavy, thudding against the ground, he understood what they were planning. They were carrying his heavier valuables out of his house so as to weigh him down, so he would never be able to rise up from the ocean's waves again. Of course, Domhall looked to the smaller merchant, whose pointed bird mask turned to him. Be at ease. We shall return to get the last of your riches. He paused. After you're long dead, of course. The men promptly chained him to the various items: his gold dagger, a large gold pot, a couple of his heavy medallions, and finally his helmet, which they forced back over his head. Domhall was already bracing himself to be tossed in the waves when the smaller merchant stepped in front of him. He should have kicked him off the cliff when he had the chance, but the men held him back with an unyielding force. You greedy little shit, Domhall spat, mouth curling into a snarl from under the deceiving pointed grin of his helmet. That makes both of us, Domhall. Amin's voice grew dark, saying the merchant's name like it was a poison. They stared at each other through the little black slits of their golden helms, air so thick with ill temper it could have snapped right there. And it did snap. It snapped when the Amin, the murderous, traitorous Amin, moved out from in front of the cliff, giving the men the silent signal that end his life. They didn't hesitate either before shoving Domhall off the edge of the cliff. His breathing ceased, the freezing night air halting around him as the weight of his valuables dragged him downward. His life flashed before his eyes as he plummeted into the ocean. Domhall sank down into the deep blue abyss, unable to call out. As saline water immediately rushed into the gates of his helmet. Nobody would find him here, his house being too far away from the civilization for anyone to notice there had been a murder. He didn't even have any loved ones to mourn him after his death, no one to inherit all of his treasures he's accumulated over the years. It'll all fall into the hands of his killers. Water rushed into his nose and mouth as he sunk lower and lower into the endless depths. He felt his body start to grow cold, deathly so, as his blood rushed away from his limbs, numbing everything as he once had control of. His stomach began to cramp up as the chill sunk its teeth into his flesh, continuing to seep into his bones. The weight of his gold sunk him low until everything was pitch black. As Domhall's vision started to grow hazy, so did his bleak final thoughts. The last thing he saw were the distant stars blanketing the sky and the large, lustrous moon before death took hold of him. He caught a glimpse of it, both terrifying and alluring. It was a little black flame, outlined in a white glow. Up, up, the tireless beating of his heart filled Domhall's ears anew as the darkness steadily faded away. He opened his burning eyes, only to be met with the same night sky he had died under. This was certainly no afterlife he had ever heard of. He was soaking wet, drenched in salty ocean water that made the cuts and blemishes of his skin burn. But the burning sensation was more than welcomed, for it meant he was alive. Domhall was lying on the sandy banks of the ocean, a ways down shore from where he had been dropped. His clothes were torn up, his silver hair had come undone, now matted to his head and obscuring his sight. Water gurgled up from the back of his throat, and he quickly turned over in the sand to hack it out. The taste of seawater was unpleasant, but once he finally finished vomiting, he felt fresh night air flow back into his lungs. He gasped for it, taking in deep breaths like he hadn't in days, a feeling he never expected to appreciate until now. However, his overwhelming relief was cut short. But how? It cannot be, unless. Domhall abruptly jerked up from the sand into more of a seated position, so his back was upright. His hand scrambled into the confines of his soggy clothing, pushing it away to examine his flesh. He stilled himself when he saw it, there, embedded right into the skin of his left pectoral. It was inky black and spiraled outward from where his heart rested. The dark sign. Horror sunk deep into his flesh, his blood running colder than it was when he'd been drowning. In fact, it felt as if he was drowning all over again. When could he possibly receive the curse? Perhaps it was when he was traveling down into the southern Xenian tombs? Blast it all! He should have heeded the stranger traveler's warnings. The merchant spent some time like that, simply sitting hunched over in the sand, letting the tide of the ocean lap over him every once in a while. His head hung in his clammy, wrinkly hands, feeling all of the dread and the regrets wash over him all at the same time. Then, as shock and sadness faded away, anger arose from the ashes. He wanted this men dead. It was that very realization that caused something to suddenly snap inside him when he knew precisely what he yearned for: vengeance. Salo rummaged through all the newfound trinkets and treasures, all gilded and studded in exquisite jewels. They glittered wondrously in the dim candlelight, and all he could think about was the fortune he was going to make of them. Amin, the merchant who sported the bird's helmet, had returned to the city with Domhal's belongings. Salo had waited expectantly for his return under a muted lantern near his house, giddy like a small child when he saw the silhouette of Amin and his men approaching. The merchant's mask was still pristine and devoid of any blood when he apprised him of what had happened. The kill was clean. No one should be able to find his body, and even if they do, we will simply notify them that he was a bestial thief deserving of a harrowing punishment. After that, they had split the spoils and went their separate ways. Salo knew he had gotten the right man to do the job, as Amin too saw the threat Damhal posed to the rest of the bazaar. Amin had always been renowned by other merchants for his sadistic perspective on things. Anyways, so it by no means would come off as a surprise to anyone in the city to find out the man had gone and killed another supposed threat to his markets. Now, Salo sat in the luxurious comfort of his residence, which had also served as his office, as he plucked away at the peculiar vase Damal had kept, extracting every small diamond inlaid within its surface. Diamonds! Salo nearly bellowed. Of course, that selfish gold-studded bastard kept these things from him instead of selling it to better their business. His mood quickly soured at the mere thought. Selfish. Suddenly, Salo's mind went silent. Spiteful thoughts of his former partner coming to a halt. Something felt off. The room grew impeccably quiet, now that his attention wasn't completely captivated by the treasures before him. He shifted in his mahogany chair uncomfortably, listening to the creak of the legs. What was wrong? Perhaps he needed to occupy himself with counting the silver coins he'd acquired? Something Salo had always done impulsively. Salo stopped. He had to do a double take. Did he feel breathing on him? Then he made a mistake. He turned around. The last thing Salo saw in the darkness of his office was his business partner. The sight of his maskless face, shrouded in darkness, gold eyes wide with fury he never had before. Sea-winded hair hung around his face, clothes baggy and draped over his bony body with dark blood. In Domhal's right fist hung a familiar gold bird mask, stained with what he assumed was its former owner. Salo had seen the ghost of his partner and would die believing that as a thin strand of chains wrapped around his thick neck, pulling back so hard his vision blurred. Salo gagged blood, the insides of his throat spurting out of his mouth and straining his lips. As it trickled down into his beard like rain, Domhal shoved him to the ground, straddling his back as he choked him harder until Salo could no longer cry out for help. It was then that Salo realized, in the midst of his last-minute horror, that Domhall was killing him with the very same pendant Salo had gifted him. Salo's vision went black. Domhall didn't hold back, letting his partner struggle until he fell limp to the ground in a puddle of his own ichor. He heaved in heavy, angry breaths as he stared down at his plump, lifeless body, fists clenched heatedly. He half expected for Salo to come back to life, almost hoping he would, just so he could relive the exhilarating moment of killing the man a second time. But Salo never got up, and no dark sign ever dared embedded itself into his flesh. After a moment of listening to his own silence, he bent down to his partner's body, taking the necklace from around Salo's meaty neck and wiping the thick blood off of the chains. He examined the pendant in his grasp again, though not in the same way he had back at his house. Now, his eyes were somber, tired. He could barely wrap his head around what this amulet now represented for him, his fall from grace. Domhal's mind raced with utter turmoil. He could not stay in Xena. No, they'd incarcerate him in their infamous gilded prisons, or perhaps kill him over and over again. No, no. They'd want to get rid of him as soon as possible to postpone the cure's spread. He had to flee. Uncertainty finally gave way to a plan he had no other choice but to follow through with. The merchant wasted no time digging around Salo's house, searching for things he'd be wise to acquire before he left. He wondered, what do undead need exactly? He'd heard stories of how they didn't need to eat, and barely needed any sleep, so Domhall simply took what his gut told him would be useful. Things like ointment for wounds, bandages, and some food like bread, olives, and leeks. One quick scan through Solo's mahogany closet allowed him to find some clothes, ones that would be helpful for traveling in sand and weren't currently in complete ruins. He didn't want to pick the more lavish set Solo had, laced with gold and purple, as Domhall didn't want to stand out, not like he had before, bedecked in gold. Leather sandals, long tan and yellow robes that fitted a little too big, and a lethem that he used to conceal most of his face was all he owned. He even snagged a pipe and some hookah he caught lying on one of the small tables, stuffing it within his pockets of robes. For his own sanity, he thought. Domhall stopped for a moment, once more, eyes landing on the gold bird mask that lay on the floor, smeared with the dark blood of his murderers. The rustle of fabric filled his ears as he pulled out his own gold helmet from beneath his robes. He gazed at it silently, solemnly. The mask smiled back at him, narrow, with gold horns outstretched from the head. The gold was still stained slightly, rusted from the cold ocean water, a cruel reminder of what had been done to him. He came to a silent conclusion before stuffing the helmet into his sack and travel necessities. He silently slinked out of the house, searching for any bypassers in the street who may have heard Salo's muffled screams, then stealthily making his way through the night. The merchant sped through the winding path of pale rocks and stone on light feet, letting himself be led down to the city docks. Seagulls squawked down at him from the a salty wind brushed against the cloth concealing his face. Wooden ships filled with cartridges of goods sat tied to their respective poles, bobbing and swaying along the riplets of water. Domhall looked up across the ocean, noticing the faint beginnings of red shine from over the vast expanse of the horizon, signaling that a new day was soon approaching and Xena will awaken again. Domhall spent no time mourning before fastening his things against his person and leaping from the wooden docks to the hull of one of the ships. His steps were feather light, quiet and experienced from years of delving. It didn't take him long to find the stairs that led down to the dark, dusky storage hold of the ship, where he was to stow himself away where no one could find him. The stairs quietly creaked under his sandals, but he brushed away a few overhead cobwebs. There, between a cluster of crates and barrels, Domhall found a snug spot for him to hide out. He seated himself cross-legged against the old, unsteady wood of the ship, feeling the floor tilt and sway against the ocean's currents. He adjusted the small glasses, pulling his sacks from around his head and setting them aside. He slipped out his prized golden dagger, using his scarf to wipe away the rust. He listened to the sailors walk out onto the deck, preparing the ship for the journey across Xena's oceans as he unsheathed his weapon. As the ship began to dock off, Domhall thought about what was to happen to him from here on out. What was he to do with the rest of his undead life? As of right now, though, he was far too exhausted from the extremities of tonight to dwell on it. For now, he simply rested his weary head back against the wooden planks of the wall, hugging his dagger against his chest where his pendant rested around his neck, listening to the scuffling of men and feeling the ship begin to continue forth. And thus, the far more powerful merchant Domhall left his own homeland of Xena, stowed away in the storage room of a trading ship, now cursed and doomed to a life of trials and tribulations, sailed off into the rising sun of the horizon. The end.
Awesome.
That was amazing.
Wow.
I know I keep saying that. Like, oh my gosh.
Ooh, I like
I really it's crazy
Oh
because
my gosh.
I remember all of the research I did for this. I remember everything, like why I referenced certain things.
oh, well,
I
oh,
one of
yeah.
my childhood shows was Esteban and the Cities of Gold, and the ship where he hides in the storage compartment of the ship was like directly pulled from an episode of that show.
Ooh,
And it was just I love writing about Middle Eastern culture, so I was like, yes, everything Middle
yeah.
Eastern, yes, more Middle Eastern.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
that was
It
so
sounds-
good.
It sounds from like a
The
middle
detail.
art culture. in canon, or did you come up with all
I'm
that?
really happy you guys liked it.
How did you come up with all that?
I did, yeah.
Did he? Oh, cool. Is it like hinted at he came from a
Yeah,
Middle Eastern?
so
Or
I mean, there's like nothing about Xena, so I was like, well, I get to make up my own stuff, and then
yeah,
so I mean, they were like all characters I made because I was like, I need characters to fill out certain roles, so like yeah, so this fanfic, it has quite a lot of original characters because for backstories and things that happen outside of the Lodran, I'm like, I gotta have these roles filled out by other characters. So I was like, in the woodworks, I'm just making up my own stuff. I'm like, I hope I'm just gonna I'm just
cool.
gonna do what I want.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun when you can just like make up bullshit to to make up for the lore that isn't there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good world building.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Beautifully done. And oh my gosh, you read the whole thing too.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh my gosh.
congratulations! Are you okay?
Not okay.
I'm okay.
This
Drinking
is
my
the
water.
first chapter.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh.
Crazy.
I gotta pee again. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Have a good
We'll see
pee.
you soon. Oh my
Oh
gosh.
man. I forgot how intense that chapter was.
Yeah, the violence. Mwah!
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, it was beautiful.
Thank you so much. That
Mhm.
should be the longest chapter I have so far. So the other chapters aren't as long.
Yeah, I gotta start it off with a bang.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
really good
seriously.
intro. Goddamn.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah, I
you.
like how betrayal and intense stuff happens in the first chapter.
I was thinking to myself before reading this. I was like, should I try and do Domhnall's accent, his Welsh accent? I tried to.
I
I
Shemai.
I Shemai and good day to you. I don't do it right. I can't do it right.
Aw. But you did
So
pronounce the Welsh like wow. I was like, are you? What, did you practice?
thank you.
Right? Oh my god,
Thank you. Thank you so much.
amazing. Yeah.
Out of curiosity, do you speak other languages?
Uh, oh man, I speak very limited Arabic and French. I've tried to learn. Those have been my family's main languages, so I've been trying to learn them, but just haven't had the time. So yeah, English is my main language.
Me too.
Yeah.
Probably wouldn't have guessed that.
Arabic though.
You're beautiful.
But in in this fanfic, there's a lot of French for especially for the chapters that feature Oscar and Solaire. And for that, I actually I got my mom to proofread the French to make sure
Oh,
it was all
cool.
accurate.
Oh my gosh.
Aw, that's really cute.
Thank you.
Mhm. Oh my gosh.
Cool. My my Edgar drawing is almost complete.
Nice.
Oh,
Ooh.
yay.
Oh, hell yeah. The monthly.
But I'm probably not gonna color it because I don't have time.
No worries. Totally
That's okay.
understandable.
It's already almost
I don't
March.
care that much for this character, so I don't feel like putting in that much effort.
I feel that.
I was half hoping people would vote for Sefka. I'm surprised Infill didn't, so I was just like, okay.
Really seen Phil interact much with Bloodborne stuff. I know she likes Bloodborne mostly, but outside of like sometimes Dark Souls 1, Fate Grand Order, and Elden Ring, I don't see her that much in the other games, unless she's complaining about the Demon Souls remake.
Hey, they better not announce Bloodborne Remastered for the PS6. I see this lightheartedly, of course. I do like her. She does have a lot of great taste, like especially with music.
Mm-hmm.
I guess so we just chilling. Are we all out
Mm-hmm.
read for tonight?
I mean, that was. I'm sweating from that.
I'm like, I want to read the next chapters. It like really starts getting to you. Like I would come out sweaty every time too. I'd be like, oh my gosh, why is my body doing this?
Body slowly self-destructing, like, I'm not this much work.
I can.
Yeah.
First of all, you're sharing your own writing with us, and on top of that, you're like reading it, and it's like performance like too. So, real props, really.
Oh,
I
thank
could
you.
never
Thank you.
share.
Yeah, I'm so happy to share this with you guys. It's like Alter Vita. Oh my gosh, Alter Vita was the passion project for 4 years, and I was like, I'm gonna put my soul into this, and it was my first fanfic too. And I started writing it before I knew any of you guys, before I even knew Omev, and I was like, oh man, nobody's gonna like it. Like I don't know what to do.
Oh. Well,
Well,
you
I love
got
it.
so much now, and yeah, it's so good.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
You found
I
your
was also
audience.
Yeah, oh my god, I'm so happy. I'm so happy. I was also just worried because it's about it's about unpopular characters.
And do I know that feeling?
Well, it's like we
Oh my
say,
gosh.
free real estate.
Yeah, seriously.
Exactly.
Nobody likes the character, which means I can do whatever I want and nobody will get angry at me.
Okay, I guess I will end here, and if we want to like hang out afterwards, like just talk for a bit,
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
I
Okay.
will, as always, I'll always include the oh, before we end, I'll add everyone's socials. Does anyone have anything they're excited about? Maybe just like media in general, anything they're working on, or
Mm.
to share.
I really want to get my butt back to this Romulan series.
It'd be
It's so
fun,
good.
yeah.
The Adventures of Tiana Host and Family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Adventures of
Mhm.
Tiana Host and His Paranoia, yes.
Um, I, I mean, on my I'm currently working on a not as big as Alter Vita, but like a novel length Mass Effect fanfic called
Ooh.
Sorak. I am in, I finished my whole rough draft. I'm in the stages of research and, fixing up story stuff and whatnot. And hopefully I get it done soon-ish. That would be nice. But I've
Ooh.
been working a lot on that. And, a couple of Mass Effect fan art stuff on my Instagram and Tumblr recently. So it's been nice.
Question.
Uh-huh.
How do you come up with like really nice for your fanfics? Because I've noticed a lot of people have fancy names for their stuff.
It's actually okay. So for Alter Vita, I went with Latin, and Alter Vita is Latin for second life.
Oh,
Um, and it was actually the use of Latin was inspired off of Frozen's Amor Fati. Um,
Ooh.
so much so that sometimes I get them mixed up. um, I'm like Amor Fati. I mean Alter Vita. I mean, but for Sorak, the word Sorak, I actually found it on the Mass Effect wiki page for Krogan languages, and it's actually important to the story. Sorak means I calm my wrath, like a companion in arms saying, like, "You're my companion now." So
Oh,
that's what I used.
that's cool.
Oh.
I mainly do them in different languages to have them sound like fancy and cool, and then give them hidden meanings.
Yeah,
What a nerd.
I should use more Latin words.
It's me
Yeah.
with the Romulan.
I take a lot of my titles from songs or song
Ooh.
lyrics because
Yeah, that's cool. That's
I have
cool.
to look at
it
all your
sounds really
titles
nice,
then.
but it's just like a song I like.
Oh, you know how you know what I do? I link I link the Spotify playlist I make for my stories
Oh
in
yeah, I
my
noticed
fanfiction, and at
that.
the
Yeah.
very end of Alter Vita in the notes, I have the Spotify link for the thing I did of just like songs that heavily inspired the work,
Yeah,
stuff like that.
yeah. I also have a Spotify playlist
Hell
for
yeah.
Yeah.
my fic and some of the characters I like.
Yeah.
If
I
I
love
linked
doing
my
it.
I don't
Spotify
care if it's
playlist, it would
cringe.
be the
I think
same
it's fun.
one.
Wait, do you only listen to one playlist?
Yeah, I do.
Is it the Will Stroll
Yeah,
one?
I mean,
Well, I
No.
mostly listen to the liked songs playlist.
yeah.
I have a
But I
few I
might
cycle
revisit
through.
other plays from time to time, even though I've listened to all the songs a lot of times.
It's I Love You by Stroll to
Yes.
We'll get there.
Yeah, I will be honest. Oh,
Oh, go ahead.
I
That's
will be honest, I do get like obsessive with like creating playlists for like because I have playlists for video games I play that's specific to those video games, and then I have
Oh my
playlists for the
goodness.
stories I write, and then I have the playlist for certain years in my life. I have a
Oh
playlist like
wow.
dedicated to like quarantine years and stuff like that. So I love making playlists.
Yeah,
ooh, that's
like
nice.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
it's like playlists are great if you need to like vent or get over a crush. There's a lot of songs of them that might describe exactly what you're going through.
Yeah.
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 Find those villain playlists on
Yeah,
YouTube.
exactly.
Villain playlists.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we could do it next time, Mom. Don't worry about it now.
Stalling.
Yeah. Oh, we ran out of time.
Oh no!
Wait, but it's 9 chapters. There's one,
Oh
two,
no,
three,
my mic is
four.
starting to cut out. Oh no, I gotta go.
What? Can't. Here. You.
Oh my god. What? Eat it. We
During
get.
that time, my voice went
Oh, man, you
robotic.
don't even need to fake that.
Oh
You
my
just
gosh,
gotta put on a
yes.
different headset.
Yeah, just like how I need a new one.
Man.
Oh no,
Well, at
yeah.
least I think Discord was the main issue, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, when back when Discord made Stag robotic.
That wasn't so much Discord as it was my internet being shoddy because there was a storm happening.
Oh.
I say it's still Discord.
Yeah.
No other reason.
No matter what, blame Discord.
Yeah.
Right, right,
It's
right.
always morally correct to blame.
yes.
Talking about titles as well got me to look at all my titles, and I like how they're either in Romulan, slightly fitting, or kind of memey.
And the best of both worlds is Mimi and fitting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is why one of my fixes titled Surprise Adoption.
If if we don't like we need more fanfics on the list of what we can read. I also have a stray fanfic that we can read. That is
Yes.
not nearly as long as Alter Vita.
And Stray as in the cat game, right?
Yes.
Oh, please, we gotta read that. I love that game so much.
Oh my
gosh.
Is it gonna be? Is it gonna
Straight
be
ship
some of the
things I
cat's?
didn't know.
Cat's
It was
pretty-
so good.
Is it
It's
gonna be
my
so
goodness.
the
good.
cat going
I can
meow?
write like a paragraph worth of like how what it means and how much it
Meow.
means to me.
Meow.
Meow.
What?
Meow.
Meow.
Beep boop. I am a robot. Meow.
I need to get my cat and make her meow to do the real
Make
mouse.
her meow.
Make her meow.
Make her.
One of my friends, Reese, when she was streaming Monster Hunter Wild, and every time the Palico, the cat, I mean, if it talked, it goes meow, and then like she would go meow.
Aww.
That's adorable. That's whenever, like, I don't know. There's just something when a cat meows, you gotta meow back.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really cute and Stray. You can meow at the security cameras and they like nod. It's so
It's
cute.
so
Actually,
cute.
yeah.
Yeah.
Omev, I made
Yeah.
Omev watch me play Stray. So
Oh my
Omev
god.
knows.
Oh, you
Shout out to
wrote
the
this
time I
too.
fell asleep though.
Omev fell asleep mid.
Oh,
Oh,
how dare you? It's such a
I
good
was like,
game.
I'm gonna.
We were in the club, okay?
You were
I
in the
remember this.
club.
In the
And I
club?
started dreaming.
In
No,
the
I started
club.
dreaming that like
We
a
all
little
asleep.
you
dog
were at
came
the
in,
club?
like a little Pomeranian, and it was totally logical for what was going to happen in the game, right? In the dream of the game. As I kept hearing like owl in the background as I started falling asleep.
Oh my gosh.
There's a
I was
dog
like,
now.
maybe
Yeah,
she has
that makes
something to
sense.
do. And then I heard snoring, and I was like, is she?
Oh my
That's okay.
That was
Don't
so
worry.
so funny.
I fell asleep while we were live streaming D&D twice.
Oh my gosh.
That's
Yeah,
okay.
that's true.
That's because I had a headache and I was lying in bed in the room with the lights turned off.
Oh,
And
okay.
so
Yeah,
You
that would
set
do it.
yourself
I
up
was
for failure.
Yeah.
The failure of resisting the sleepies.
yeah.
The EP sometimes too
The
strong.
EPs.
All right. Speaking of strong, we had a lot of strong fics today. We could definitely continue more on with
Lex. But Lex, you're next.
No, I'm sorry. There's not enough time for that.
Aww,
Uh,
okay, we'll do yours next though. Next
yeah,
week.
yeah. We'll do it next time. I don't know about hearing this right now. It's not gonna follow up with. Yes.
Oh
Or
my
anyone's
gosh.
for that matter. So, but yeah, thank you for tonight.
Lex? What? No, don't you dare talk down to yourself. Don't you do it. Okay.
What's not your wish is
Nope.
there?
Don't you do that. You're not allowed to actually.
I'm sorry. It's only
illegal.
It's only 11:11 for you and me, honey.
Yeah.
Yay.
Well, hey, it still works.
Me. Although my clock
Oh,
says
exact.
23:11 because I have my clock in 24-hour time.
Still counts. It still counts.
For everyone in March 1st, welcome to March. Oh my gosh. So do you really want to?
I mean, it's only 9 o'clock for me, man. We could
It's also.
we could do at
11
least
for
one
me.
chapter. Yeah, I could do one chapter. There's 9 chapters. Do one chapter.
Yeah, one chapter is good.
Okay.
Easing into it.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Yeah! Woo!
Yeah.
All right. Can I read it?
Huzzah.
This is what peer pressure. I read it or you read it? Since you insisted,
Ooh.
or both
I
of
did
us.
this. Both of us?
Oops.
Okay, you want to read chapter 1? I'll read chapter 2.
Oh, so you're scheming to get it to do chapter. Okay, all right. So I'm gonna give some background here. It's a very silly, very non-serious, too much. You'll see what it's about. I just wanted to put that out there. It's lighthearted, silly.
Love that.
Okay.
Good break from whatever I was writing.
Something amazing. Oh, Max, like, don't talk to me about my husband like that. Thank you. Okay, so actually, another thing I wanted to say. Back when I used to work, I used to live in Toronto. My job was being a courier. I did it through the subways, and I always wrote these in my notebook, going between stops.
Oh,
Nice.
nice.
Multitasking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
why everything is just all in bulk here, because I just typed them all up after I no longer use the subway. Anyways, here we go. Ever since then, chapter 1 through 9. Chapter 1, The One Who I Wanted. Adeline successfully escaped from the ski trip. She softly sat down in the subway and breathed a sigh of relief. It was sad that she had to miss such a big event, but witnessing the one she wanted laughing with her rival would have been even more tragic. Or so she felt. Her only lament was knowing the disappointment everyone would have of her since she backed out at the last second. There was nothing left she could have done at that moment, so she gave up. The sorrow was her lullaby, and it would have left her all the way home. Martin, however, didn't let that happen. Adeline momentarily opened her eyes and saw him standing there with eyes of melancholy, whilst her eyes filled with agitation. Of course, the one who I wanted to see the least is the one who shows up. What are you doing here? She questioned. I could ask you the same thing. You look forward to this trip more than anyone else, so I don't get it. Why you're on the train back home, replied Martin. Looked away with dull eyes. He stared for a minute and then realized an eternity could pass and she still wouldn't have responded. So, instead, he took a seat next to her. I can't go back without you. It just wouldn't feel right, he said. You trying to guilt trip me or something? No, not at all. I just can't believe the class would have fun without you around. I also don't believe it would be right to leave you alone now that I know you clearly wish that you didn't leave. What makes you so sure? Well, if you took pleasure in ditching us, you would have been doing something along the lines of happily snickering or dining at a restaurant, not scowling. You haven't stopped to think that maybe you're the reason of that scowl? I have actually. Not for now, though, but for before. Adeline's eyebrow twitched, and Martin knew he was spot on. Aren't you the knight in shining armor? Just assuming that people who are alone hate the isolation, she said in an attempt to change the subject. There's nothing wrong with some alone time, but there's a difference between preferring to have no company and having something preventing you from the company. Something like jealousy. It looks like you don't have to wonder why I hate you anymore, because now you'll know, because you think you know me. Really, I think you hate me because I know you too well. Enlighten me, then. What could I possibly be jealous of? That I was with Winter. The fact that she and I happened to be in the same group bothered you. Before the grouping period, you were just fine. Adeline felt her stomach drop. She figured that her secret was out, felt betrayed. Then why did you ask me why I left if you knew? Martin shyly looked away. I just can't give myself too much credit, he said. To be fair, I thought I hit it well. Giving yourself a little credit wouldn't hurt. No, I mean, I just can't believe anyone would actually like me. Like you? What are you talking about, Martin? You know I like... Adeline paused. Then her face got red with embarrassment. He didn't know her secret. He gave it away. The two made wide eye contact for a few seconds and slowly turned away. Arriving at Daston Station, the transit system said. As the train doors opened, Martin grabbed Adeline's hand and began to run. Hey, what the hell are you doing? Yelled Adeline. I was just thinking, you can't think Winter's going to wait for you forever. Besides, it's already November, said Martin. I can't tell if you're talking about the person or the season. Sure you can. Just read the sentence that's right above your reply. It's not that hard. You're an idiot. The two headed to the northbound platform and barely made it back onto the train to the lodge. You should be there. I promise Winter will be happier with you around. She was the one that did her best to convince you to come, after all. She managed to crack a smile to him. I guess, in the end, I should be glad you're more. What's that supposed to mean? Even though we only spoke a few times before today, you seriously thought I liked you? And without that, I would have kept believing you were just some stuck-up jerk. You could have left me, but you gave a chance to spend time with her again. But you should have seen the look on your face after you found out. What? You mean your face was red as hidden in the last episode of New York Ghoul? I'll show you red, she said as she pulled on his cheeks. Ever since then, she knew he was her best friend.
That's so cute.
Oh
Yay.
Quick question: is New York Ghoul a reference to Tokyo Ghoul? Or
Yes.
Oh, excellent.
That's really cute.
Oh, thank
Yes.
you.
Very cute.
All right.
This makes me want to write more.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Or actually start writing my
Very
my
inspiring.
Sonic show it to you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Yay.
I would love that.
All right.
As long as you
Shall
don't
I?
think it's cringe.
No, not at all. Like,
If
if I
y'all,
can write.
Being cringe is being free.
yeah, exactly.
What were you going to say,
It
Lux?
will be cool, I promise.
I was gonna say, if y'all can handle this, you can handle anything.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Clearly,
exactly.
There is no cringe in this household.
I like that. I like
I
that a lot,
appreciate it.
actually.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
Shall we?
Yeah.
Chapter 2, Falling for You. Huh? Adeline? Where's Martin? Asked Estelle, not aware of Adeline's hour-long absence. He was insistent in joining the group I was in. Must have really wanted to ski with Jamie or something, she replied. Of course, this was planned by Martin and herself a few minutes before their arrival. It took him a while, but Martin had finally convinced Adeline a second time to be brave when it came to winter. Oh, I see. So he wants to ditch us for the beginners group, huh? Smiled Winter. Beginner? Asked Adeline. Yeah, don't you remember? We were split into 3 groups, intermediate, casual, and beginner. This group being intermediate, said Estelle. Ah, damn it, that little sack bag used me, Adeline thought. Martin sneezed. After he regained his composure, he graced his eyes upon the bunny hill. This still looks pretty damn scary for a beginner's course, shivered Jamie. Don't worry, man. The trick to not falling is to never stand up in the first place, said Martin. You mean like squatting your ass down on the skis? Yeah. That's missing out on the experience. What's the point of that? To not wipe out like the dinosaurs. Winter and Adeline stood atop of the intermediate mountain. I'm probably not ready for this winter. I mean, this is the first time I've ever worn skis. I know, Adeline. Don't worry. It may look kind of intimidating, but it's actually the same as the bunny hill. The only difference is that there's trees and multiple paths downward. You mean multiple ways our bones can break while falling down? Winter gave a warm laugh. That can happen, yes, even for me. But if it's falling for you, I doubt I'd mind, since with every moment of pain, there's a moment of experience to learn from. Adeline's face beamed and, without her noticing, subconsciously took a step forward and began the downhill journey. Oh shit, Winter! What's the freaking stop going downhill maneuver? Yelled Adeline. No, you don't want to stop too abruptly. Try slowing down first, Winter shouted back. Okay, what's the slow down maneuver? Winter took a deep breath. Hold on! She sped down the hill to catch up with Adeline, and she did it with much grace and such speed. When the two finally met, they grabbed each other's hands and they started to slow down. Not bad for your first time, Adeline, said Winter. You too, the two shared a gaze for a moment. After a few seconds, a squat skiing Martin crashed into Winter, causing her to flip twice in the air, then roll down the hill. What are you doing? Adeline screamed. losing control. I never thought skiing like this would be so difficult. I also never thought the bunny hill was connected to the intermediate one. Like, that just makes no sense. Before he could finish his sentence, Martin crashed into a tree. In the distance, Adeline saw Jamie also making his way from the bunny hill to the mountain. Ah! He cried. He tried to grab onto Adeline to stop himself from falling, but she dodged, causing him to trip. As a result, though, she slipped on his back and began sliding down the hill while dragging him on her ski. Oh, God, this hurts a lot more than you think it does, yo! Yelled Jamie. You shouldn't have tried to grab me. What would have that done, huh? This would have happened anyway, with my head on the snow and all, replied Adeline. The two of them kept tumbling until eventually they flew up a few feet into the air. It was then that Estelle showed up and opened up her arms. It's all right. I'll catch the both of you, and then we'll... And before she finished her sentence, they crashed into her, and the three shot down straight to the bottom.
Yeah, they're all idiots. I love them.
Yeah, they're fantastic.
Wow.
Amazing.
This is fun.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, this is super cute.
They're just such goobers. Very fun to read. And then, oh my gosh, I do remember reading this like a couple years ago.
Oh, really? When did I post this? I guess it was a couple years ago.
But do you have a link for it?
Yeah, posted it in the VC chat. It's a little up there. Yeah, I'll just post it again. Don't worry.
Oh, okay.
It's on Tumblr, not AO3.
Okay.
Yeah, I would have shared my AO3, but there's only smart on there.
You can share it with us. It's okay. And like, we can have technically links to it. We just don't read it on stream.
Yeah. Oh, or in call at all. I don't want anyone saying those words. Ah.
Also, I'm glad your wish came true, honey.
Yeah, your wish is true. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Rip Martin.
I can't believe he died. Oh my
He was
gosh.
a real one.
It's only
only
lasted 2 chapters.
That's so sad. What a loser.
Power stuff on the hill. Like, I would obviously do the same thing. Skiing is really hard.
I want to go.
Yeah.
I connect
go
with
ice
Martin
skating.
on a deep level.
Oh, ice skating's fun too.
Ice skating also terrifies me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a wood.
Ah, the knife shoes.
Knife shoes.
Mm-hmm. Man. All right. We could do another chapter though. Now we're on chapter 3. I'll make a note. What was next though? Let me check. We might just be on to like longer chapter fics now. Let me see.
Yeah, mine are too
Oh
short.
no, it's another one of yours actually.
Oh. I
This
did something
one's
else.
for all and more.
Oh. Yeah,
That's
completely tone shift here.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
I don't mind this one being the actual last one. Or doing one more?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me send you a link. Oops, wait. Discord, come back.
Discord's been doing you wrong today.
Ah, been so naughty. Okay. All right. Who would like to read this? Honey?
Yeah, you wish.
can.
Okay.
You were the first one to read, maybe the last one to read as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, they call book ends.
Hey! Nice.
Okay.
I need to excuse myself for 1 second. I'll be right back.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. Wait.
Okay.
1.
I knew someone was going to.
Okay. I'm excited.
I remember actually reading through this when I was doing the Secret Santa, and I had to resist from liking it.
Oh.
Because I feel like, wait, that would probably give it away. Why is Stag suddenly liking this fic? Oh, wait.
We can like it now.
So it's true.
Yay. Yeah, it was interesting you pointed out the different writing styles. I agree. I like everyone's writing styles.
Yeah.
How y'all would describe all y'all's writing styles you've seen?
Well, like mostly what I was looking at, like the thing that I tend to pay attention the most to, I mean, is like paragraph size. And so like with Stags, I feel like there was a lot more dialogue, and so the paragraphs were a bit shorter. I literally forgot every single thing we read already.
That's okay.
That's fair.
But like with Owls, the paragraphs, where are they? I closed out of everything.
Don't worry, the links are still there. All the links.
Oh yeah.
All the time.
All right, and Terrori's. Like,
yeah, Tori.
it's not opening. There we go. Okay. And like Terrori's with it being formatted with longer. I cannot do two things at once. I'm so sorry.
Okay, take your time.
Like it was like bigger paragraphs, and then with the AO3 formatting where it's no lines in between, and then over to Owls where it has the lines in between and the like like shorter lines of dialogue versus the bigger paragraphs of like description and such, and it, like how Owls it kind of like varies a little more. Terrori's it's kind of thick all the way around.
Yeah.
But like not too thick. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of like what stuff I look at. And I just think it's super cool because it's like I like looking at paragraphs specifically because of like it's kind of like a vague thing to look at. And like I do look at like the deeper stuff of course, but like it's kind of like a quick sort of way to see how someone prioritizes the things that they write. I don't know if I'm saying it in the way that I would prefer it to be said. But I just think it's cool because it's like you can quickly zoom through it and just sort of see like how it's flowing up and down on the right side of the page, and like what that kind of means in the sense of a writing standpoint, where it's like just showing you like, oh, there's a lot of dialogue here, or oh, this part's thicker, maybe there's like something crazy happening here because like there's lots of dialogue and then it's suddenly all thick, like ooh, maybe this is like the climax part.
Yeah,
that's kind of my thought process.
yeah, I totally get what you're saying.
Yeah. So anyway, we ready for all and more?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's hope my stupid cat. She's she's literally laying on her back behind me. Let's hope she doesn't meow at me because she's been pissing me off. She bit me earlier.
Oh
Oh
no.
no.
She was like,
Cats
"Play
are
with me."
That's her
Yeah,
dominance and bite back.
for real. I wanted to.
Yeah.
Anyway, um, she's kind of chilling out. So to the story. Let me actually get a drink of water. I think that'd be helpful.
Yeah.
Just
I will say I really am asking for trouble when I write chapter 1 and then 4 years later.
You are just a little bit. All right. For all and more. Irithyll was only known as a cold and lonely place to Nina Lagan. Her mother, Stephanie Lagan, insisted that their family never dared set foot outdoors and that the family help would do so for their essentials instead. Nina often wondered what good it would do for them to be so isolated toward the community that surrounded them. She didn't believe a beautiful place could harm her. The lake that spread around the town was beautiful. It sparkled every night with the moon and stars. Nothing that breathtaking could ever harm her family, thus believed Nina. Her father, Jonathan Lagan, agreed. He would sneak out to their patio and stare at the night sky in wonder. The sound of the water beneath their home brought him peace and calm that he cherished. But he had felt fortunate enough to marry into Stephanie's family, share her name and money, that he couldn't find it in him to try and vocally disagree with her rules. Jonathan was happy, but even so, it wasn't quite the life he thought he'd shared with her. That's when he made a vow to Nina to never let her lead a life of regret. He'd help her find a route to sneak out without letting Stephanie find out, so that Nina may enjoy life exploring the woods. They have done this since Nina turned 13, and only if she promised to not travel too far and if she returned at a certain time. By the 4th year of her endeavors, Nina found herself knowing most of the layout of the woods and Irithyll in general. She taught herself many things, such as how to start a fire with both wood and through the study of magic. She didn't quite understand magical arts as much so. So she had mostly stuck to physical activities. Nina also had herself a couple siblings. They were twins named Roger and Alex. Because of this, Nina was expected to watch over her baby brother and sister. They made sneaking out a bit more limited, so she gave herself a more strict curfew of just an hour of outing. One night, she took a break from exploring and simply sat at the lake to relax. She heard footsteps approach and a voice speak to her. It wasn't in a language she understood, and Nina turned to see who had spoke. It was a small wood figure, perhaps the size of a young kid. They pointed at the night sky, seemingly wondering what it was. That? Nina had pointed at the stars. Stars, that's what I was told to call them. Star, the figure uttered back. That's right. I learned all about them from my father, but I can teach you all the things I learned myself if you'd like. The wood figure tilted their head. I won't ask anything of you other than to sit here with me tonight, Nina continued. She pat the grass next to her, inviting them to sit with her as they stared at the water and sky together. The figure nodded and sat next to her. Nina was very happy. She felt like she had made her first friend. They weren't from immediate family, and yet they wanted to spend time with her. She wondered what that possible reason her mother would want to keep them all from this joy. Nina wanted to share her experience with everyone to show that it was something to embrace, but first she had to build it up before she showed her mother that it was okay. The two bid farewell from the lake, and Nina went to bed, still blushing for meeting her new friend. Nina and the wooden figure continued to meet in the same place every night for months. She gradually taught them everything she knew about Irithyll and from her solo outings. Eventually, they spoke full sentences together, and the figure even listened to Nina whenever she needed to express her concerns about her family or the town in general. It was nearly 2 years since they had met each other, and Nina just thought of something she found strange. They never said each other's names, so she sought to change that. She asked the figure their name, but they insisted that she went first. My name is Nina. Nina of the Lagan family. Normally I wouldn't tell anyone that, but I trust you. The figure joyfully responded, My name is Lena. Oh, quite similar to mine. That's a miraculous coincidence, as if fate wanted us to meet. Like we were meant to befriend one another. That is what Nina convinced herself. A month later, she saw that Lena grew a bit and had long black hair not unlike Nina's own if she wore it down instead of in a ponytail. Nina was very happy at her friend's progression. It was as if she and her best friend had a journey of growth together. Lena was very interested in knowing more about their friend. They were curious about what her parents were like, how close she was to her siblings, Alex and Roger, where she lived. Lena would really pay attention to Nina's words and would often repeat them back to her. How far Lena's speech had improved impressed Nina. She was proud to be their friend. Usually, an individual is the one to receive gifts on their birthday, but Nina wanted to give Lena one that year because nothing would give her more joy than seeing her friend smile. Nina had gathered a bunch of flowers into a bouquet for Lena. She wore a white dress for that special occasion. When they met at the usual location, Lena also wore something surprising. It looked like similar clothing to Nina's normal attire. They had a formal dress shirt on and comfortable trousers. The blue scarf around their neck was familiar too. Nina was flattered that her friend was inspired by her style. She hoped they could learn even more things together in the future. Happy birthday, Nina! Would you like to come over to my place tonight? We can put those flowers somewhere special together, Lena said. Nina happily agreed. They had never gone to each other's homes, so she was very excited. But the trail was familiar to her. She recognized that it led to a cave, and nothing worthwhile was ever inside. Only danger awaited. It wasn't a place of comfort. Nina stopped. Where are we going? She asked. Your new home, they responded. It was very sudden. She didn't know of Lena's intentions, but if there's anything that Nina trusted most, it was her instincts. She started to run, but the roots from the ground began to impale her ankles. Before Nina's screams could echo through the woods, Lena covered her mouth with a hand, their hand of flesh. Lena's face turned into something familiar. They learned well from Nina, so well versed in Nina's ways that she may as well be Nina herself. Nina couldn't believe it. For years, the one she thought to be her best and only friend, the only one to know everything about her with absolutely no filter and no judgment, was only thinking about her for this. For a moment, Lena was her everything. Even more, it rang true. The figure Nina turned into her everything. The girl was now nameless, to be forgotten. There was no hope to beat Nina back to the home with those wounds. No way to tear out without causing permanent, unrecoverable damage. The girl watched speechlessly as Nina walked back to her home. The flowers were left behind her, the flowers for her grave. What felt like an eternity later, voices around her were heard. It looked like a trio of villagers, two women and a man. The girl couldn't find it in her to speak. No sounds of agony, no greeting, simply a blank stare at the villagers as blood slowly trickled out her legs. We'll get you out of here. Who could have done this? It didn't matter to her who said that. All the voices melded together to form a noise of pointlessness. What's your name? Where are you from? They continued to ask her questions, but she hardly reacted. The villagers patched up her wounds. One of the women carried the girl into her home. What felt like days passed, and they couldn't get a reaction from the girl at all. So much stupid pestering. These idiots don't know how to leave me alone. The girl spoke. It was clear she didn't think anyone could hear her. The woman tried to use this new information to try and help the girl. Think about your name and I'll fix up your favorite meal for you, the woman said. The girl scowled. What's with the face? You don't think I can do that? I'm a pretty impressive cook, so help me out here. My name is Barbara, and yours is? There was a long silence. The girl looked around, then stared at the woman. Anna.
The
Whoa.
story.
Anna! Oh my
As
Uh,
soon
gosh, the
as soon as it
betray.
started to be like, wow, your name's Lena, that's similar to mine. I was like, it's stop looking her, stop looking her.
Mhm.
Oh, oh yeah, thank you. You read it
Yeah. Oh
very
my
well.
gosh.
Night. What night? I call you Knight for now on. Yeah, that was really great, honey. And I just realized also I have a lot of grammar mistakes there. So.
It's okay. We push
Easy
through.
We push through.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's proofreading. It's fine.
Oh man. Just like I remember reading that for the first time and being
Yeah.
so upset on
Oh my
Nina's
god.
behalf just to be betrayed.
Yes.
Literally have her entire
God.
life stolen from her. Just
Oh my
oh
god.
Yeah.
yeah.
That reminds me of this like really messed up. It was like it's on YouTube and I was like really young when I watched it, but it was like a animated short in like claymation, I think.
Oh my
And it
gosh.
was about like this kid who's like stuck in the mines behind this painting or this mirror, and it's like she's working for like these goblins or whatever, and she like tries escaping from the mines, and she goes up to the mirror and she's like banging, and there's a person that looks exactly like her in her house with like
Oh
her
my
mother and her
gosh.
dad,
Oh my
and she's like, come
god.
on mommy, let's go, and she's like behind the mirror being like, no, no. That traumatized me.
Oh
That
my
sounds, oh my gosh, so
gosh.
scary and awful and
Yeah.
horrifying. What's it
Yeah,
called?
I don't
Yeah,
remember.
let's watch it.
I think if I look up like, I don't
It's a
know.
let's watch now.
Yeah. I remember it so vividly, but I was too young. I don't remember the name of it.
Oh
I
goodness.
was also
Yeah.
hoping that it's still on YouTube.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it should be.
Was it like made for
Um,
YouTube, do you know, or it just happened to like someone pirated it and put it on there?
no, it was like the official account that made it posted it. It was like one of
Oh,
those animation things where it's like I don't actually remember. Let me try looking it up.
that's
Uh,
cool.
This for some reason made me think of what I know about Robot Chicken. I don't watch Robot Chicken. Anyways, I also remember going and reading the story like, am I getting when I was working on the Secret Santa, am I getting this right? And I'm reading this and like, oh yeah, Anna being angry as fuck is absolutely on point.
Yeah.
And I was
She's
kind of
alive.
thinking, and I was kind of thinking on when actually drawing that, like maybe she found uh Lena, Nina, whatever, the doppelganger, and that's whose blood that is.
Oh yeah, that'd be nice.
As it should be.
Oh, it won't be too probably a really really long time now till I read it, but yeah, she definitely she's not gonna say no to revenge. That's all I gotta say.
oh man. Oh my gosh. I'm so. Oh no, I gotta find it.
Yeah, definitely no worries. Thank you everyone for being assistant on
Yeah.
reading, continuing on, and I'm happy we're able to do this.
Me
Yay!
Yeah.
I
Same
too.
loved it.
here.
I absolutely loved it.
I guess all that's
And
left is to sometime in the future read one by Corey and
oh my gosh. I well, there's the one
Hopefully,
that's not that long. That's the one saving grace I have.
hopefully I can write one
Wait,
that
Yeah. Hmm?
all yours
I
aren't smut, are
write
they?
one that for everyone to listen to.
Yeah. All of
Also,
Corey's
starting quiet.
are indeed NSFW.
Wait, for Corey's
I
are
have
all
Valid.
NSFW? Oh,
Corey.
uh,
Mine are very safe for work.
Yeah.
SFW.
Written
Corey's gotta
really
have at
short,
least one that's not
short
NSFW.
story, but it was like a short horror story.
Oh,
Oh, that
yeah,
sounds
that is
interesting.
true.
I think out of all my like, I obviously don't want In Which Pestilence Adopts the Child read because of how old that is, like, and
Hmm.
all the typo stuff going on. Surprise Adoption, I'm a bit on the fence about. And then, of course, there's the Bloodborne fic I posted about Althasas, which I'm not sure if that's too dark for this or just vague enough. But most of my fics are safe for work. Well,
Yeah.
basically all of them are safe for work because I don't do smut.
Yeah. That's good. Well, either
Yeah,
way,
me
it's good.
either. Don't look at my AOV.
Yes.
There's no shame in it.
Yeah, there is no shame either way. Like, starting to understand that a little better.
Yeah.
If we did read one of my longer fics, the only other one actually, we'd have to break it up into pieces, man. I would not make you guys read the whole thing with me.
Yeah.
I'll
Hey,
tell you when to
if there's
stop.
anything I've learned, we can definitely
Mhm.
do long fics. The group is strong.
The group
Oh
is
yeah, that would be awesome.
Together!
I would.
not
Together!
27,000, not 27,000 words, Jack. Are you sure? How long the second chapter's gonna be? Oh. We're all in this together, hand in hand. We will stand, and something is that we will be together
Forever.
Yeah,
And basketball.
yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah,
know.
okay.
But then a lot of the other ones we have here are gosh, they're chapter fics. So we're into the big
Oh,
chapters
wow.
now. Like
Yeah.
Dracula. We can go back to Dracula next time.
Dracula.
Yeah. We can go back to Storm.
Oh,
And we
yeah.
can also finish yours, Lux. Oh
Jeez.
yeah.
You said finish honeys and noms?
You know, let me at least get 5 chapters down in my big one, okay? Let me try that first
And of
before
course,
we
owls. There's plenty of to read in
Eh,
owls fic.
that too. Yes, and Alter Vita. Yes,
Alter
and
Vita.
owls.
Obviously we would not be reading every single chapter, but the chapters with
And
Petrus and Crestfall making appearances, that would be pretty fun because it's
yeah.
Snark.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
We love Snark.
I
I
love
can't.
Crestfall.
Yeah.
Oh, we know. Wait, really?
No way.
Fallen merchant.
Okay, I know what to get for her birthday. It's gonna be a crestfallen Excortage.
You're gonna get a
Amazing.
lot of crestfallen oriented stuff.
I feel that from this group specifically.
Yeah.
Now, I was wondering what to draw for your birthday.
Oh
What's
my
your favorite
god.
Zelda character?
Uh, uh, hmm.
Link. Link?
Yeah, the
I'd
red
say Link.
one, probably. I would probably admit to the red Link.
The red
And
Link?
yes.
Yeah, the color in Super Smash Bros.
Yes. Kind of. Yeah.
Wait, except short, right?
Like the Minish
Yeah.
Cap one? Whatever it's called.
The Four Swords one, actually? Yeah.
Four sword.
Yeah.
That
Been a
reminds
little
me.
bit into that.
You have the Link cap, right?
I did buy the red one. Yes, you remember. I did buy that. It's somewhere in my house. I misplaced it.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's somewhere here. I still have the stickers you got me, actually. I need to place them somewhere. Yeah.
At first, I was just like, "What are you talking about?" But then I remember it like briefly.
You
did
like
get
snuck
stickers.
them to me. I was like, what? Surprise gift? What? Oh, great. Thank you. That happens. Play by play.
Oh yeah, anyone I happen to see this year, more stickers inbound. I got Path ones to give.
Nice.
We all live together. What did you
You
say?
are
Warframe.
It's a Warframe song. You're going to get it stuck in your head if you listen to this, but it is a good song.
Nice.
Let's do it.
Okay, I'll put it on. Hey, oh, honey, fun fact. And I was listening to
Yeah.
Caramel Dancing when we were doing, you were playing your thing, like you were making a game.
Yeah.
I didn't even get copyright struck or I was like, why is that? Why am I not?
I saw that. I was like, oh.
It's just
Maybe
fine
that
to play
song is
Caramel
old
Dancing.
enough to be like really licensed. What do you call
Yeah.
it? It's old enough. It's in the public fair use.
Oh yeah. I don't.
I don't.
How many
It
years
has
is
to be
that?
older than that though, but it feels like a really good song.
Yeah.
It's as old as Moonlight Sonata.
Moonlight Sonata.
Oh,
It's
I
the
love that song.
oldest, the like I'm Blue song by Eiffel 65.
Oh yeah. Anyways, I remember when the Caramella girls were right next to Beethoven making their song.
I remember that too. I love
Oh,
that stuff.
I have heard this song before.
Yeah, this is a good song. I think my sister sent me to this one. She played it for me. She used to play Warframe.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she still plays it. Every so often, she streams it.
Eh.
Okay, unless everyone wants to talk about future works, I'm gonna give it a good old end here.
Yeah.
Yay!
Yay! Good job, everyone.
Yay! Thanks
Great
everyone for
job.
joining me as always.